First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BBE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next. It is Wednesday, April the 10th, and we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks.
Hello, Postmarks. Hello, NXT friends. Hello, Poison pals, and goodbye still to my voice.
Yeah.
Because it is no longer with me, but we are here. I thought, let's give ourselves a night off. Maybe I'll wake up. Maybe I'll have my voice. That's not the case. I've had some tea, some hot soups, nothing, nada. So bear with me.
You got to stop vaping. That's going to help.
I told myself after the trip, it's over.
High five to that. Yeah,
exactly.
Good for you.
It's metal in your lungs.
Nice. Yeah, metal in your lungs.
I've had quite a beating on my body. So somehow I'm still alive, but unfortunately my voice sounds like shit. So I'm sorry.
Look, after the crazy last couple of weeks we've had, I'm just glad that everyone got back to where they needed to be in one piece. Yeah. Voice aside,
yes.
You know, we battled cockroaches, we battled the Canadian Revenue Agency, we battled flights that may crash, flights that didn't take off, earthquakes,
yes,
drinkers pub. Eclipses, tributes to the extreme. We battled with so much, crowds getting out of stadiums.
I've been inside the ECW arena now, and that's probably where I got whatever disease this is. I don't have a disease, but my voice is gone, and I left it somewhere in Philadelphia.
Managed to not have a cardiac arrest after about 8 Philly cheesesteaks.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, I think I'm slowly dying. Still.
Yeah, we got to climb the CN Tower in like a week.
Don't know how I'm going to do that, but
postwrestling.com/WWF. Go sponsor us. We're climbing the tower.
Yes, in 2 weeks, we will be climbing the CN Tower for the second year in a row. And legit, this is sponsored by WWF. No, not WWE, but get the F in because we are saving the animals. So like Davey said, postwrestling.com/climb.
Easiest just to go postwrestling.com/WWF.
WWF.
Letters that all us wrestling fans should be familiar with. We've raised about half of our goal so far.
Excellent.
So every little helps. If you want to throw $5, $10, whatever, it's all going to a good cause. We're helping the animals. We're saving the pandas.
We're going to save all the animals by climbing the CN Tower, and I'm sure we'll document it before and after as well. We're going to be with John Way and some friends as well, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And yes, I have to prepare, so it starts today. Which is like less than 2 weeks.
I did climb the stairs today.
Okay, there
I'm
you
a little
go.
sweaty. Sorry if I smell.
I wanna go for like a nice walk every day from now on, just so I can get my legs.
The weather's there now. We've come back to beautiful weather. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays this way. We're gonna get in fighting shape. We're gonna burn off those Genos, those Philly cheeses. It was so hard to find. I legit didn't find a salad anywhere.
I don't think they serve or sell salad in Philadelphia.
No,
I don't think anywhere we went.
I'm sure a nice restaurant, but over here you still go to a pub and you got your pub food. You still have the option of a salad or something. But I was craving that, so on the veggie diet for a little bit
going forward. I probably. You know what? I know this might sound shocking or unbelievable. I don't think I drank that much this weekend. I sure did smoke a lot and eat a lot, but I don't think I went balls to the wall on drinking, which was a good thing.
I think I balanced it pretty well. I had a couple of days which were more so than others. I know Sino and I Wednesday night in New York had quite a bit of fun there as everyone's kind of arriving. Thursday, while you went off to Bloodsport and DDT, I found Woolly Mammoths. Shout out Woolly Mammoths. Going to leave a great review for them.
Oh yeah, we went there a bunch.
Great little dive bar that we enjoyed. But then actually the rest of the times I was kind of just pacing, had a few Broken Skull IPAs.
Finally.
Extreme tribute to the Extreme. Mania, it's just the price are ridiculous. So I kind of had 2 per night for that. But The espresso martinis were a hit though at Drinkers Pub. Poor guy serving us.
Yeah. I mean, he made like what I'd call like the bootleg version, which is like you get cold brew.
Yeah.
And then you just, what did he put it with?
Cold brew, vodka, Bailey's, Kahlua.
Yeah, I don't even think he put Bailey's. I think he put Kahlua, vodka, and like a bit of cold brew coffee, which I've made at home. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, it's John Pollock, new favorite beverage.
Oh yeah.
He's probably making one as we speak.
But definitely started the train going. Like I was looking for a coffee and I was like, oh, that serves both demons. So have that. And then suddenly we're all on the espresso martinis at Drinkers Pub. But what a day that was.
Yeah. I mean, where do we even begin? We will review what is last night's NXT because every Tuesday we go live and we chat about NXT, but we did just return to Canada and we thought we'd give ourselves the night off, but we got a lot to talk about. So usually we go live on Sundays. Search Poison Rana in your podcast feed or Poisonrana.ca. Give us a follow on all the socials and check out all the stuff we posted over the past few days and check out all the other shows. So today we're kind of combine both these shows and go through kind of all the stuff that we did, including WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver and so forth.
Yeah, we chatted. We have chatted about most of this stuff on our Patreon. We were doing little road diaries while we were away, so covering a bunch of like the smaller shows we saw and little experiences there. But we and I recorded the Stand and Deliver review with Sino, which is on this very feed that you can listen to our thoughts on that. And
I loved one. I was too done. It was Big Tom, who became public enemy number one in our household, who has apologized to me maybe 10 times, but he just really snores. He is 6'7" or something like that. And dude sings in a death metal band. And who would have thought that this guy snores like an absolute demon?
Yeah, I think, Tom, if you're listening and if you're coming with us again, I think we'll all chip in for a sleep apnea machine for you because you need it, buddy.
Like it was so interesting running into people all over the place all weekend who guys were doing similar things to us, like having lads trips and boys trips. And you'd hear from different groups like, oh yeah, Laddie over here is the snorer. So we put him in his own room. We're like, fuck, we needed to do that. But so the day after, I guess this was the Sunday, I was just like so beat. And Tom was snoring so loud that I don't think I think I would sleep for 15 minutes and then something would happen and then I'd wake up, and it kept doing that where we were going to record a show on the Sunday. And I was like, Davey, like it's either I record the show and don't go to WrestleMania or like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I need at least an hour's sleep. So
that's why we have the hot tag.
Yeah. We had the hot tag to Sino. I did laugh at this though, because I'm like, all right, I just need to go in someone's room and sleep. So I picked a room. Jesse's like, here, sleep in my room. It's great. I go into the room. I lay my head down. You sons of bitches were recording right below me, and I could hear everything. I was like, shut the fuck up. I don't care about Trick Williams right now.
So we tried to record out. We actually recorded like a portion of the review outside, and then that motor thing went off. So we're like, oh.
It's okay.
And then our room, the room I was staying in, smelled a little better than some of the other rooms we tried. Crack a window, guys. If
Boys
you're doing
trips.
these lads trips, crack a window.
Right. Stinky man.
But yeah, we did it. We chatted all about Stand and Deliver, which you can find on this feed. We're obviously talking about the fallout today. But should we start with some WrestleMania thoughts?
Yeah.
The big show?
Yeah. I mean, so like I said, if anyone checked out our voice notes from our road diaries, and shout out, I got a lot of messages from people out there. They're still up there on the Patreon. We did about 7 or 8 of them in total, which just kind of goes through our whole story. And you flew in, kind of backtracking to kind of go through some things. You flew in, you were supposed to fly with our friend Graham, but the day you left was like a really bad storm here in Toronto, so much that you feared for your life.
Genuinely. All other... We were told before boarding to go to the washroom before boarding because we won't have the opportunity to leave our seats as soon as the plane takes off. We were kind of promised turbulence throughout the whole ride, which it was like drop zone kind of turbulence. Right. You know, those rides that shoot you up and down. It was like that. Graham was flying from the other Toronto airport at the same time. We were meant to land at the same time. His didn't take off. He was actually on the tarmac on the runway ready to leave
for like 3 hours.
And the pilot was like, nope, guys, too dangerous.
Yeah.
So there was that. All other flights into New York were cancelled. Like it was genuinely very, very scary. And then you get to New York and it was a crazy storm there. Cena and Frank were trying to meet up with us, but Frank was like, I think I got to skip this. Like it's crazy. There were trees falling down on the train line, which was giving like Cena a pause. I just found a pub. So I was like, I'm good, Cena.
Yeah.
Get here when you get here. But genuinely like quite scary.
Because for us, so shout out Shane, Big Tom, and then Graham hitched a ride because all the flights were canceled. He's like, well, at least I have friends driving down, and he joined in on
Very
that.
lucky.
Yeah, so we had a great little boys trip driving down there, and 8 hours isn't that bad considering we did like 12 just a few weeks ago for Revolution. So it kind of wasn't as bad, and we stopped in different places, but it wasn't like stormy or anything for that drive, which was pretty good, pretty nice. So we showed up into Philly about Thursday morning. We thought we could try to squeeze in a nap, so we didn't happen. So instead, we just the coffees, the espressos, they were going, and then did the Rocky steps. Got to finally see the store was closed, but for any Rocky fans, you can buy like the actual robe that he wears. In the movie.
Nice!
Like they sell replicas, which I'm like, Cena, Frank, the two Italian stallions in the group needed to get those. So that was pretty great, and then finally met up with Dickie Bird traveling in from all the way from Australia, who brought us some new Poisonrana merch that will soon be available on the website. Some new stuff as well. Then we went to Woolies, and then we kind of traveled all over the place. Eventually, we went to Bloodsport, which was a really good time as well. Shout out Josh Barnett, friend of Big Tom's, where we were in the crowd with like half the WWE roster, which became a bit of a like WWE versus the indies, if you will, because as soon as people started realizing that CM Punk was there, it became everyone wanted to like try to talk to him and all this stuff. But I'm not too into the fake MMA, but I will say that out of all the stuff I've watched, that maybe Shayna and Masha was like a must-watch kind of match. It was really good, and I don't know how Masha comes out of this not signed by WWE after something like this, because it was a pretty cool moment to see kind of that. Oh, and Charlie Dempsey from NXT. He was the like surprise in there, who also really had a great match. So even though I would say it's not usually my cup of tea, I still really got into it and enjoyed it. And there was a little bit of blood on Bloodsport.
Right.
Not everybody bled, but one guy did, so it was good. And then what did you do on Thursday?
Thursday, I went to Woolly Mammoths and met up with Jordan Goodman and his fiancée Lily. Got to check out what would have been Neil Flanagan's Airbnb, which was very nice, opposite Paddy's Pub from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We went for some ramen as recommended by Ring of Honor's Cheeseburger.
Okay.
And
you mean he didn't recommend cheeseburger?
No. And then met up with you guys later for Howl at the Moon. Like a piano bar.
That's right. Yes, we did get to do that. I will say I've only done one Mania weekend before, so this one was like I needed to do a lot of like the other stuff, and I know people were really interested in going to some of the indie stuff. But when I did DDT by accident 5 years ago, I was like, man, like it was so much fun. So I made sure that we got tickets to go to this, and I had to convince some friends, like, hey, trust me, you'll like this thing. And I was so right, because talking to some people afterwards, it was between DDT and the Hitchcock show. And I know John and Way, especially Way, were kind of like, oh man, I really wanted to go to that DDT show. When all day I was like, oh, I really want to go to the Hitchcock show. And I think maybe we chose the right one, because if you haven't checked out Dan the Dad versus Cheeton, you have to absolutely watch this match. It was so ridiculous. And then Speedball and Ueno as well, which like match of the weekend, possibly. If I haven't seen too many people talking about it, but they killed each other in this match, and just what a fun show. It's something that like you can only do once in a while. DDT doesn't always come over to the States, and especially over here in Canada. So it was the closest thing I could get to it, and I was just so blown away and had so much fun. I can't say more great things about DDT. Like if you're planning future Mania trips, like these shows are just so much fun. So I had so much fun doing that show and going to that show, that we then met you at Howl at the Moon that night. And for a Howl at the Moon piano bar, we usually go in. They're usually a bit more packed. You can barely move. At least this one we could move around.
It was also a
Thursday.
Like it wasn't quite the weekend yet, but we had fun. I think I started a train going there as well with the Adios Motherfuckers, the blue drink.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
It's essentially a Long Island with blue curacao. So it's got everything in it.
Right.
So yeah, we were all drinking them. We were definitely, I think the bartender was definitely a fan of us because we were making her money that night.
Yes.
The band were a fan of us because we were singing along.
We had a great sing along.
Yeah, I always find those bars pretty fun, even if it wasn't the busiest that night. I still had a lot of fun there.
Oh yeah. And then we woke up. When was the day of the earthquake? Was this Thursday? Was this Friday?
Friday morning, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So we went out drinking. We were out pretty late, like till like 2:33 or something like that. We got Geno's, which was great. But then Friday morning, I was feeling a little hungover, and I go to take my hangover poop, and while I'm on the toilet, the whole bathroom starts to shake, and there's lots of noise. And for a second, I thought Brandon was doing laundry. For a second, I thought
Tom was snoring.
I thought a train was going by, and this is all just in my head. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Why am I shaking right now? Like, I know I'm hungover, but like, why am I so disoriented? And I'm thinking to myself, like, am I going crazy? And Sino in the other room is yelling, what the fuck is going on? What is this? So we quickly go on, it stops, and I quickly go on Twitter, and I'm like, was there an earthquake? And sure as shit, people are posting like, holy shit, earthquake in New York. So I finished my business. I run downstairs, and you and Graham are in the backyard, and I yell at you guys, did you guys feel the earthquake? And you look at me like, what?
Yeah, I didn't really think of anything of it, but then thinking back, like I thought, like I didn't feel shaking, but I definitely heard like a rumbling that I assume was just laundry or something. Yeah. And then I'm like putting it together. It's like, oh, maybe because we're on a 3-story house, so all the ones like on the top floor feel it, because just think how tall things move.
And we were at the very top.
Whereas on the ground level, your feet are on the ground a bit more, so you're not necessarily feeling it.
You two are looking at me like, what the fuck are you smoking, man? What are you talking about, earthquake? Like, how hungover are you? A door opens, like the neighbor next door runs out of her backyard and heard me. She's like, I'm so sorry, but I heard you say earthquake. It had to be. And she like starts explaining, like, my whole house was shaking upstairs. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not fucking crazy. Because I was like, am I nuts? And then, a few minutes later, you go online and everyone's reporting, it was in New Jersey, yeah. So I've felt earthquakes before in much smaller capacity, but it must have been because of the way this house was, that at the very top on this toilet, I almost went out like the king.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't flying into New Jersey on that day. That would have been even scarier.
What happens if you're in the air in an earthquake?
The tarmac just disappears. You're like, oh, shit.
There's no landing. But yeah, we survived earthquakes. So much that we decided to then go to the Tribute to the Extreme after some daiquiris at Fat Tuesdays, which was very nice. We went to the ECW Arena, which we got to see it all. We got to see the line to get in. Yeah. We got to see the spot where New Jack almost threatened to kill Brandon from New Jersey. Yeah. We got to go to this really sketchy bar around the corner to take a peek quickly. That was great. What else did we like from the ECW show? Yeah,
just I thought the venue was beautiful. Like, part of me was like, I kind of wish this still smelled like piss and vomit, like just to get that authentic ECW feel.
It's nice.
They've gentrified it, and it's beautiful. It's a really nice arena. They try to keep a couple of like the ECW sort of feel to it there. I thought all the vendors there were selling some pretty cool stuff. The show itself, I had so much fun, but it definitely felt like everyone's in on the joke kind of thing, because like the wrestling wasn't good, and even stuff that I thought might end up being quite good wasn't good, but I didn't really care. Like, I had fun. Everyone was there for a fun time. Got to see some of those ECW legends. Got to see Enzo being Enzo at a merch stand.
We don't know why he was there, but he was there. I guess he was doing his shows beforehand, and he just decided to hang around.
So he's handed our friend Graham, who's met Enzo before, so they were like catching up, and he was like, hey man, I gotta give you this. Opens up a folder full of CDs, flicks through, and he's like, I think you'll really like this one. And it says Rock Mix,
Enzo's Rock Mix,
and then in Roman numerals 43 Rock Mix 43, and we've been trying. I think we might be having a listening party tonight.
Yeah.
I think the PlayStation does play CDs.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're going to have a watch party tonight before the Young Bucks release that footage on Dynamite.
This is the real footage. I need to know what's on
what
Enzo's
is on Enzo's
CD.
Rock Mix 43, and what's on the other 42, and how many are after?
Like, okay, did Enzo legit just be like, yo, bro, you like check out my gym mix 43. I've made a lot. First of all, who burns CDs? Who still has CD players? But okay. Like, I'm wondering, is it just like you pop the CD and it's like, hey guys, I'm Enzo, check out my
It's probably
website.
Blank. It's most probably Blank.
Rock Mix 43. Yeah,
but
we're gonna frame this.
But yeah, that was funny.
Meanwhile, he's like hanging out with some friends of his.
Some friends. Yep.
Yeah.
But free show. We can only say so much.
We can only say so much. So definitely need to follow the Patreon for future chat about that.
Graham in the chat right now saying he wouldn't let me leave without taking it.
Yeah,
He's like, no, you must.
You're like,
you must take Rock Mix 43.
So we'll let you know what ends up being.
Wow.
But yeah, you kind of said it. Like the ECW arena has been like redone completely. They have shows there and wrestling there still all the time. But with WrestleMania being in Philly, we wanted to hit this off our bucket list, and it was so worth it. I'd say the vibe and the atmosphere was what we went for, and it totally over-delivered. The show itself, yeah, there wasn't really great wrestling. Tajiri and Super Crazy in the main event, like they're very older now, and it was still great to see them. And we got to sit like in the back area, and we pretty much interacted with every person who wrestled because of where we were, right? So much of the fact that Samu blessed us.
Samu did bless us.
We are legit blessed by Samu. And that's not a joke or an innuendo in any way.
So we're in the bloodline.
Legit, we are in the bloodline because Samu himself looked at us and did the whole thing. So we are blessed.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, that sort of thing is a one and done.
Yes.
I'm really happy I did it. I wouldn't choose, I'd maybe choose something else over that next time.
Absolutely.
I did think it, for what it was, it went on way too long.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it went from like 4 hours. It was like way too long.
It was like as long as WrestleMania Night 1.
It was so long.
To be seeing a blown up Shane Douglas, it's like, sorry.
I mean, Francine still had it going on.
She still got it.
I started a great "You Still Got It" chant, but she was a great part because she was like, hey, I don't want you people treating me like the same way you treated me in 1997. And that was a great bit because instantly
very much encouraging those
the
classic ECW.
Yeah, fans. which you wouldn't really do at a wrestling show, but when she's in on the joke, being like playing a heel, it did work. I thought that was great. Crowbar was really into his gimmick. I don't really know why Crowbar was like deep into it, but bless him. Bless all the people who still were going. Onita had Tommy Dreamer as his mystery opponent to take on the Dudleys. I'm trying to think of other stuff that happened, but it was like you got to see snapshots of different people from different ECW like eras and everything. So it was honestly a really fun time. And because of the people we were with, like we got to, I got to talk to all these wrestlers. Like Blue Meanie was like hanging around the lobby, all these people, Jerry Lynn. I got to meet some of the WOW superstars as well, the Tonga twins. So it was just like a whole spot. We then went out to Howl at the Moon again.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Bit busier that night.
Yeah. And they have like a rap club attached to it now on Fridays, which was like the one side is like a piano and a band. We're gonna play some Elton John. Here's some Lady Gaga, and then you go into the other parts like here's some Drake and some Travis Scott. I was like, all right, they know what they're doing.
Guess which side I stayed in.
I did notice that the DJ on this other side, because Shane really stayed on the other side of this bar, this club, two separate clubs. The DJ would be like, "Who likes J. Cole?" No one would say anything and be like, all right, who likes Drake? And then the place would go wild. And then he'd play something else. You'd get quiet. So something I've learned is I guess Americans really love Drake because every single time he played like anything else, it got really like quiet. And then he's like, all right, here's this song. The girls go nuts. But yeah, that was our Friday in Philly. I believe we got more Geno's. I think we tried Pat's, which I can honestly say was my least favorite cheesesteak that I had.
Yeah, I'd agree. It just felt a little drier. I do think from trying a bunch of cheesesteaks now, as much as normally I would want to pick like actual cheese over Cheese Whiz.
Yeah.
For a cheesesteak, I think the Cheese Whiz works. It just like melts perfectly into it all. It keeps it like moist and juicy. Whereas I think whenever I had it with like provolone or something like that.
Yeah.
They needed to put more on it and melt it more because it just tasted dry. And that's what I felt when I had Pat's.
Yeah, like for me, I'm not a Cheese Whiz fan. We're roommates. We never buy Cheese Whiz unless the one time I think we tried to literally make a cheesesteak, and I don't like it. But when it is on a cheesesteak, it does work.
Works.
It's the only time I think it legit works.
And the only one I like, my favorite one, which I highly recommend, Denix at Reading Terminal, was just incredible.
Right.
Like smoked. Like it's a posh cheesesteak almost. Right. It's like smoked brisket. They have the smoker right there.
Nice.
And that I actually had with sharp provolone, which was like the sharpness of it, like a real like extra sharp cheddar. Yeah. Like it cut through it, so it just worked perfectly. The peppers were like sweet and spicy at the same time. Like that was amazing. And I've actually got one in the fridge that I'm gonna have after this show.
Yeah, my girlfriend,
my last cheesesteak of the year.
Yeah,
for now.
My girlfriend made sure, she's like, I know you're driving back, but like, is there any way you could bring me one? I'm like, yeah, it'll probably. So we did an 8-hour car ride, and then I put it in the fridge right away.
Yeah,
and then had it today. So
what was it, Gino's?
Yeah,
right.
So she said it was pretty good. She's actually been before years and years ago, but that's all she wanted. I know Gino's was like the one of the OGs, but considering Pat's and them are beside each other, like
it made it. There weren't a great deal of late night spots for food, and Gino's was literally like a minute round the corner from us, so had that quite a lot. I would like to try out some more places, but it's more of like a day thing, I guess, that you got to try and do. But yeah, I had way too many.
I had way too many that like I don't know if it was that and drinking and just keep on going and so much like social butterfly activity as well. Like most of the time, you go out to a show, that's it. The next day you can sleep in or whatever. And it's like, no. You wake up and you do it again. I have to commend Fire Frank. One of the mornings cracked a beer at 11 a.m. And out of like all the, 20 people we're hanging with, I didn't expect him to be the first one to crack one. But then the next day it was someone else. But yeah, so Friday we survived.
Yeah. And then Saturday, like the weather started picking up. It got cold in the evenings, but like I had actually a pretty nice walk from our place to the venue for NXT, and that like woke me up. So by the time I got there, I was kind of awake and ready for the show. So
I was not. I was like, oh man, who put wrestling at 12 noon? I'm like, come on. I'm like, all right. I like the fact that Mania is 2 nights, and I hope going forward it's always 2 nights like that. It makes more sense. Why squish everything into one night and make people even more miserable? It's just with the NXT thing, and we've definitely talked about it, and we'll probably talk about it some more later today, is it should be like the Friday night beforehand. However, that's where the SmackDown is. Yeah. And if that ever changes and moves, then they might be in some things there. But like WWE looking at it, having a pay-per-view at noon seemed to work for them because they had 16,000 people there. However, being in the crowd, I think out of the 16,000 people, that maybe only 2,000 of the people knew exactly what the fuck was going on. Because
I disagree with that. I disagree. Like I think people are a bit more subdued because it's early in the day and because they're saying themselves. But people knew the characters. People were getting into your Chase Hughes and Thea Hales. People were getting into Obafemi and Trick Williams, and they were doing the bird chants. Like people knew the things that like the NXT crowd chant along with. And yeah, business wise, I was checking out because they were like, oh really, the most attended? And yeah, it like beat their like other highest attended one by like 2,000 people.
Okay.
And business wise, like made a lot of money. So I can't, if SmackDown's staying on a Friday, I can't see it changing. And also remember, not everyone is going out drinking the night before. Of course. There's a lot of people who just are there for wrestling.
There's families, kids,
went to SmackDown and they went home and they went to bed and then they're awake. And like 12 is kind of reasonable for normal people that don't go out drinking and going to bed at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought the crowd were pretty good.
I didn't think so. And I watched some of the clips back because I thought, was it just me? And I think it still came across. You watch the anything from Stand and Deliver, and obviously it's not fair comparing to Raw, which was in the same venue. Raw was completely sold out, not a single seat like missing.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone seemed really, really loud into everything. When I didn't necessarily, tried to scroll through Stand and Deliver to see, and I'm like, it sounds like people are maybe a little tired, like myself. So I know that was the issue, right? And then I will get into Mania night one and people's like reaction to the crowd sounds and stuff there. But I was like, man, like I know we did go out the night before, but like the show started at 11:30 a.m. with wrestling. It's like, that is pretty
There's
early.
Independent shows starting at
Like
9 a.m., 10 a.m.
It's
like
crazy.
It's a festival. That's what you do. Like you go to a weekend festival, there's musicians starting at 10.
I'd say,
it's just how it is.
Yeah, I'll give some thoughts on Stand and Deliver. I know I was tired, but I managed to still get my coffee and my energy drinks in and somewhat be awake. But I don't know if it was necessarily the crowd that also made me feel like, oh, well, they're not responding, then maybe like I don't need to jump up out of my seat. Like by association, if you're at a show, no matter what show, and you're in a group where everyone around you is reacting and jumping and cheering, you might kind of feel that way. Where if you're somewhere where everyone's kind of quiet, you might be really quiet. And I felt maybe that I was that way for TakeOver. Sorry, don't call it a takeover, because it definitely was not a takeover. It was the biggest NXT show in history, but I had some mixed feelings about it. I don't think the main event really lived up to the hype of what at least I thought it would be. I got to shout out Trick Williams. He got the W, he got the win, but it felt like it was only like 10 minutes long. I felt like he did like 3 moves in the final stretch of it, and then it was just over.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't.
I agree.
It didn't feel very memorable as much as I think I wanted it to. Neither of them got entrances that were like anything different from them just playing their theme song, and it just ended. And it was like, oh, okay. And I mean, I'm not saying we needed to go to the unsanctioned match right away, but maybe you should have, because they teased the Shawn Michaels Triple H stuff months and months and months ago. So
I think also with the positioning being like on top of the NXT title match, I think having an unsanctioned stipulation, it's almost like kayfabe wise, the show finishes at the NXT title match, and now we've got this match that is lights out afterwards. That's what they've done before, and it works better. But no, Sino and I kind of said the same thing on our Stand and Deliver review. Like the entrances were fun. Like everyone was into Trick. Everyone was happy to see him win. But the match was very like average.
Yeah. What else was there? Because I didn't necessarily think it was bad. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't think that it lived up to maybe like the hype around it. I liked the NXT title match with Ilja and Tony D. Like Tony kind of bringing it with some of the suplexes and stuff, but still, I wouldn't say it got to a level beyond a normal TV match between Ilja. Ilja goes out there and usually kills himself for our entertainment, and I didn't necessarily feel that way, and I did not buy Tony D as a contender, really. And that match was all right. Roxanne and Lyra, maybe my favorite match of the night, with the submission tap out from Roxanne. I thought these two meshed pretty well. Maybe the match of the night, though, was the 3 big lads, the meat match. It started out a little rocky and a little rough, but Oba was throwing these guys around like nothing.
There's something quite exciting about, like, because there were a few sort of stumbles and things in this, but you look at the size of these men and you're like, well, yeah, of course. But I thought that and the tag match were my favorites of this show. Like I thought they were really hot matches, and got some like the Obafemi like triple electric chair thing he did, like got the crowd, like that was probably the loudest they got that whole show, aside from the Trick Williams entrance. But
Bron Breakker is very impressive in person, because seeing Axiom and Frazer like run the ropes and do their crazy fast stuff is pretty fast and pretty impressive. But they're in the ring with Bron Breakker, who's like 2 of those guys put together and running, if not even faster, because I swear to you that when he runs the ropes, the ring shakes, the ring moves.
They said on NXT last night that Bron legit shifted the ring.
Yeah, he did. He did. When he ran the ropes, I was like, bro, he could like really fuck someone up. So it was great to see some of the characters that we've been watching for weeks, months, years, and never seen them live to finally do see that. So I still enjoyed the show, but I don't think it
was an appetizer.
Yeah.
Me, and I thought that was fine. Like, it's early in the day. Like, this was like, you get like a little appetizer, which is tasty, but it's not what you're going to be talking about after the main course. And that's how I kind of felt NXT was. And, for the price I paid, like, a third of what I paid for Tribute to the Extreme.
Right.
Well, actually, Cena paid for that, but
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Thanks,
it's
Cena.
like I paid like way less than the indies were charging. So I can't really complain about that. Like, I was happy I went at the end of the day. Like, I luckily like managed to like keep my balance with coffee and caffeine and all that. So I had fun, but would I rank it against previous takeovers? No, I wouldn't put it in top 5 takeovers I've been to.
I wouldn't put it in a top 10.
No, but I had fun.
Yeah, I still had fun. And I know with WWE shifting the way they're doing things, that NXT is going to stay like this. It's not going to be the product that it once was, because now the main roster is where these people, as soon as you see an Ilja or a Roxanne catching steam, they show up on Raw. So it's like,
which is how it should be.
Yeah, it's how
really.
It should be. Like it legit.
They shouldn't be hoarding
people.
And I think NXT has always been, and I think you remember your Finn Balor's and your Johnny Garganos and Adam Cole's and stuff in there. But you've got to also think of just over characters that they've made in the past who aren't maybe the most exciting wrestlers in the world. Enzo and Cass, you can't deny how over they were back in the day in these takeovers, and were a big part of these takeovers. And I can see that now with some of the characters you've got, where maybe, I don't know, like Chase U, they're not going to light your world on fire in ring, but you're going to have fun watching them and getting into them and doing the U chants and all that. So I see it like starting to become a bit more of a hybrid of like both versions, like sort of 2014 NXT and 2017 NXT. It's sort of coming together now, and you're going to have the likes of Julia coming in, and maybe I see them being fast tracked, but maybe a Tama Tonga and a Jacob Fatu coming in, and you are going to have that injection of sort of outside talent as well, building it up.
Yes, that was quite interesting with Julia sitting there with Rossi and Regal in the front row. Clearly she'll be showing up on NXT TV in the next little while. I think she still has to finish a few dates, but then after that, she is there. Like, Stardom was in Philly for a show, and I'm not sure if she was part of it, but she was at WWE World most of the weekend. So people were like assuming before this NXT spot in the front row that she was attached to them.
I believe she's got one more match with Stardom, but her contract's already finished. Interesting, because there are reports of Nick Khan wanting to work with other promotions, being open. We'll get into it, but on NXT last night, Charlie Dempsey, Damon Kemp mentioned Bloodsport. They were like, "Oh, how was Bloodsport this weekend?" Which we've never heard. You've had the odd like people going over and doing different shows, but it's never been brought up on TV. So I found that very interesting. We know Julia is going to be helping Rossi Ogawa start this new promotion. I definitely see them being like sister companies, that kind of thing, with lending talent to each other.
NXT Japan.
Yeah, well, I just think have it like whatever it's going to be called, but send, your Thea Hales for a run in this company and have that sort of thing. I think we've been pushing the excursion idea for quite a while now, and now it's a different era. Like, you go back, I remember when Brody Lee was interviewed on Talk Is Jericho. Triple H was pushing to get him in a G1 or working in New Japan, and that got shut down. Like, it's clearly like Triple H is keen to like be in the wrestling world, not the sports entertainment world, and work with other partners and things like that. And it's probably seen how Forbidden Door is a success for AEW, you know, and how they could do that on an even bigger level. And if there was one takeaway from this weekend, is we are in a different era. We are in a Paul Levesque era, and we are not sticking by these weird traditions that Vince had all that time. So I think it's exciting, and Julia seems to be maybe the first step in that direction.
Yeah, whether it's NXT Japan or NXT Italy, she could be the bridge.
Exactly.
She could join the family.
She could.
The Stacks,
she should. Yeah.
Luke Crucifino,
She
Rizzo,
should kick out Tony D for not
Julia.
getting the job done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look, you couldn't do it, but stick with me. I'll become
Exactly.
champion. Half Italian. I can't wait to see what she does in NXT. I can't wait to. Everyone's talking about Julia being front row in the crowd. There's a big one everyone's missing. We could potentially get Knuckles in NXT as well. And then you could go over to DDT and get Cheetan. That's the dream match.
I'm surprised Dijak didn't kick Knuckles' head off. I thought that was definitely
or Knuckles attacking him and having someone in the suit. But Knuckles versus Cheetan should be next year's WrestleMania dream match. But yeah, that was pretty cool. The fact that Julia was there, and then we exited the Wells Fargo Center, and then we had all this time in between. So we tried to go to different bars.
I think we made the right choice. We went like 20 minutes to the casino rather than Xfinity Live, which had like a huge lineup.
Mark Henry hadn't ran his mouth just yet on the Saturday. That would come the Sunday about Kairi Sane. Have you heard about this?
No.
Oh boy, I wish I knew, because I actually ran into Mark Henry at the store the other day and didn't hear about what he had said till afterwards, because I would have stuck up for you, because he has been really mean to Kairi Sane.
What did he say?
He said that Kairi doesn't respect the business and everyone else in the business because she didn't get out of the ring in time for the entrance of Jade. And then someone has clipped the entrance, and it's clearly just the ref being like, hey, Kairi. And she's like, oh, sorry, and gets out of the ring. Fucking Mark Henry.
These fucking, like him, Bubba, Booker T, they pick up on the weirdest fucking things, and it's to have an opinion for the sake of having an opinion. Ridiculous. It's very strange.
Somebody's going to get their wig split. Yeah. Kyrie, hit him with the back fist.
Yeah.
Let's go. But yes, we didn't go see Mark Henry at Busted Open. Instead, we went to not Xfinity Live, but Live, the casino, which was also near the venue, which became a bit of a hub for us.
The security there was the weirdest thing, because instead of you look under 35, I'm going to need to see your ID, it was, are you under 35? Yeah. All right, show me your ID. Like, I know it, like here, I think it's challenge 25. Like the States is a bit ridiculous. It's challenge 35. But so the next day it was like, are you under 35? No, I'm 35. Okay, go through that door. It's like, weird.
Yeah.
And then as we went through, the guy who's actually checking the IDs are like, you're fine. You're all, you've got old beards. You've got gray hair. Like it's all good.
Yeah. The one guy said to you, he's like, oh, are you 35? And then you're like, no. And then like you had to go into the line. So I was like, he goes, are you under 35? I went, no, I'm not. And he goes, I might have to check. I'm like, oh, so you want to do your job then? Like,
just challenge 35. Like, just be like, you look young. You go there. You go there.
He was like, yeah, I know. It's not my call. I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, so we hung out in this casino, and then we had some drinks. We had some pops. They had their own events going on. Like RVD and Lana was walking by, a few wrestlers. And then we met up with some groups of people, and then we went and embarked to WrestleMania Night 1 at the Lincoln Center. So I had bought tickets with my buddy Shane, who is in a wheelchair. So I was a little worried about trying to find some spots in the arena, stadium that they could put us in. And little did I know that they would go like above and beyond. So first of all, they're not used to having so many people in wheelchairs show up to Eagles games, because I guess there's more people in wheelchairs who show up to wrestling events. I think that's a fair statement. So the stadium was absolutely fucked in that regard. So much that the main entrance only had a single-use elevator that had a 3-hour wait time at 5 p.m. Wow. You know what time that show started at?
7.
Like 3 hours. So luckily, my friend Shane can actually get out of his chair and be mobile. So I said, look, we either wait in this line and not get seated possibly till like after 7, or you try to climb these stairs and I'll bring your chair up. So we did that to then go into another line. To get into another line, it was chaos, like 70,000 people, right? Eventually, a lady goes, you need to screw these people right now. You need to help this guy out. And her boss was like, well, no, there's a whole line. And she goes, yeah, well, this guy doesn't have any fucking legs. And her boss was like, excuse me? And she's like, I'm telling you the truth. He's got no fucking legs. And the boss comes around and goes, oh, shit, he's got no fucking legs. All right, I guess we'll help you in front of some other people. So they seat us like really, really well. I had some great seats for WrestleMania. So I got to meet like a bunch of people. They had to take us through like the locker room area. So I got pushed into Jason Kelsey, who I for a second thought was the other Kelsey. Like, holy shit, it's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. No, it's the other one. I'm like, oh, well, you're cool too. But it was just phenomenal. So I got to see like how WWE does things backstage a little bit. And man, they run that shit like a tight ship, man. Like there's it is awesome. And a lot of the people involved in it are super nice. Like always, all these people coming up to them nonstop, whether it's NXT talent or celebrities who are just legit in the crowd in the stadium, they're always nice to people. Everyone's like, oh, can I get a photo? Zia Lee was bombarded with people. Can I get a photo? She's like, of course. And taking things. And it's just like a huge, you see like how it is like the Super Bowl, but wrestling. Like it's just absolutely massive. But I really enjoyed night one. I feel like maybe some of the hate towards this Mania season was on night one. Maybe the crowd weren't that into it or excited or cold. I
didn't hate either night. I much preferred night two. Yeah. I thought night two was the strongest show, but that's not to say night one was bad. I kind of felt the crowd was similar to how you felt about NXT. Like there'd be times they'd really get into it, but I think a lot of people felt tired and were like enjoying the show, but maybe not like yelling about every single thing that was happening in front of them. And I don't know if you guys heard, but it was cold.
It was.
So they said it was 11 degrees, but then you factor in the wind, you factor in you sat down for 4, like we got to our seats pretty early, 4 or 5 hours. Like, yeah, it gets cold. And then you have like a main event, which was probably 20 minutes longer than it should have been. I really got into it by the end. I had fun. I got to see The Rock wrestle, you know, it was great. But yeah, I enjoyed night one. I thought Sammy v. Gunther was the clear standout. I thought Rhea and Becky was pretty great as well, especially when you hear Becky was like really ill doing this match. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It's interesting that they sacrificed, they sacrificed staging to put more and more people in that stadium, which unfortunately I think meant less pyro. I am a fan of blowing shit up. Like you didn't really have the big firework displays you normally have. You didn't have the flyover during the national anthem, which I always enjoy. But yeah, a few little nods that Vince is gone, you know, having the national anthem rather than America the Beautiful and that little things like that. It was like, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, you can hear my thoughts on night one with Sino in the Stand and Deliver review.
Yeah, I really liked Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch. The ladder match was all right. I think the right teams won. I think I predicted that it should be the heels of A-Town Down Under and
we both predicted
that.
Yeah,
I think we both said like those make the most sense with people chasing and everything. I'd say maybe the Rey Mysterio tag match was not maybe got to the level I think that maybe we could have got to, or storyline or whatever. And then that was the one they decided to bring in Jason Kelsey with, which again got their, you know, ESPN moment and all that stuff, the Eagles luchador masks, but still pretty fun. I think maybe the low point for everyone seems to be Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso, who just they're brothers. Maybe they didn't want to.
They had a better match night too.
Yeah, they really did. They really did in the one spot they got off. But it was cool seeing Jade make her kind of big entrance and match debut. But Sammy and Gunther, easily the match of the night, and just what a great story. I need to rewatch this back. Sammy finally hitting the brainbuster after all these years. He learned it from his pal El Generico. Maybe he saw Takeshita get hit with one or hit Ospreay with one a few weeks ago, that he's like, well, it is my move. So I
mean, Takeshita clearly is inspired by
he loves
El Generico.
He says it's his favorite wrestler of all time. So yeah, I think it's a little.
But I love things like that. It reminded me of when Cesaro pulled out the UFO against Seth a few years ago, where it's this thing that is going to blow the mind of people that have never seen it before, but also people that know it means so much more to. And I have rewatched it, and Michael Cole does the call. Right. He does the Brain Buster, which is great. Fantastic. Like, and so saving that for like that moment, instead of just, you know, pulling it out week after week on a SmackDown, just saving it for that special moment. It's like Punk doing the Pepsi plunge against MJF.
Yeah.
It has so much more meaning.
It was great. It was fantastic. And then, yes, finally, after watching wrestling, I got to see The Rock wrestle live after all these years. And it was a long match, the second longest match in WrestleMania history at 44 minutes and 35 seconds, only behind the Iron Man match. But dare I say, I thought this was better than that Iron Man match.
More happened in this match, and that included a 20-minute like Roman Reigns walking around Seth Rollins talking. More happened in this match. I'm sorry, any of you who like that Iron Man match, you're wrong.
Yeah. There was a lot of stalling for maybe the first 20 minutes of this match, a lot of punching, a lot of walking around, like you said, but it did get into gear, and kind of hearing the reports of Rocky getting a ring, getting the Gallus lads to help train him. You knew those Gallus lads were good for something, training The Rock. The Rock looked great. He was doing like big bumps and flopping around and everything. And then he pinned Cody Rhodes, which easily sets up a big match down the line.
I think the problem is with doing a match like this is you've got 3 people with matches the next night.
Yeah.
And Rock's still going to be doing physicality plan for the second night. So there is that worry of you want to put on a WrestleMania worthy main event, but you also don't want to have torn quads and triceps and all that going into night 2. So I think like that especially was evident with Roman, that's evident in a lot of Roman matches, but it definitely relied on that a bit too much. You could have shaved the match down, but still the final like 5-10 minutes, you know, the table spot, the double pedigree, like all that kind of stuff, like the crowd just were eating it all up.
Yeah, I'd say the crowd really woke up for this match. Again, like maybe 15-20 minutes into it, after it kind of was starting to pick up, it really got people into it, and The Rock and everything. Like he was doing all the classics, the like pointing at his head and the swearing, and oh man, he was great. I haven't watched it back minus the entrances, but I really got into it. And then by the end, the spear on The Rock, the crowd went nuts for as well. So the real question is like, do we get Rock v Cody next year or Rock v Roman? They got a few options yet again, because any way you look at it, it's a hot match.
I feel you get Rock Cody before that.
Wow.
So apparently Rock's shooting until August 1st. SummerSlam, I believe, is like the 27th or something like that. That's not a long turnover if he's doing a training camp and stuff. I see it more likely. I think there's usually a Saudi show around like October, November time, or you could do Survivor Series. I don't think they've announced a venue for that. Like if they wanted to do a stadium for Survivor Series, you know, that's where The Rock debuted. The Rock debuted at this thing. He's going for the title at this thing. Maybe he'll bring
show
the
up
egg
this time.
Yeah, so I would lean towards next year doing Cody v Punk and Roman v Rock as your 2 headliners. But anything can happen, and I think the company are more willing to see where the tide shifts. It was obvious with this one, they had a plan in mind, and it was like, no, let's go in this direction. This makes more sense. But I would say within the next year, you were going to have those 2 matches, the Rock and Roman and Cody Rock.
So yeah, I liked night 1. I thought it was really great, especially the storytelling going into night 2, like Cody losing, right?
Oh, sorry, SummerSlam's August 3rd, so I would probably rule out Rock.
Yeah,
wrestling.
I don't think Rock would wrestle until WrestleMania. He's kind of made it that's where I wrestle. I wrestle when it's big.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I don't think we'll see him.
He hinted in the press conference. He hinted on Raw last night.
Yeah, but you're saying he's going away to film. So like
until August 1st.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a long time away. But so far, so good. I thought he looked great.
Sorry, a long time. You're saying wait until next year.
I think that's when he will wrestle.
I totally see him doing stadium shows before then.
Like he will totally help them get these crazy people go into these shows, because The Rock brings in so many fans, and so many people were dressed up like him.
Yeah,
both nights of Mania. Shout out all the Rock shirts out there. They were fantastic. But I liked night 1, and it led into night 2, which I think seems to be people's better night, their more favorite night, which I think so.
People, at least at the stadium, people felt more energized there. I think people learned from the night before and took an extra layer of clothes to wear. So like I took a load of layers and would just, as each match was going on, put on another one, and I was perfectly comfortable. But everyone was more energized. It felt like there were more chants and songs going on. And I really enjoyed night 2, which is strange because you would think people by then are just exhausted. Whereas, It was the espresso martinis, man, at Drinkers Pub.
Yeah, that's right. Going. Well, night 2 had Drew McIntyre defeating Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I thought was a pretty good match too. I think maybe a little shorter than I thought, but they kind of got everything in there and had the kickouts of the finishers, and then
it made sense with the story as well. Seth literally was in the last match the night before, and he's kicking this off. Yeah. So I think the length kind of did make sense with that, and it almost had it sort of that kind of Brock Lesnar Goldberg style where it was just quick spamming finishes, kick outs, all that. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the whole presentation of everything that was involved, including Drew winning the title, middle of the match going on his phone with his wife, I believe, ringside, tweeting from his account, and then going back to it, and then winning the title and
bored at work, was it? Something like that?
Yeah, bored at work. Later on, he would tweet, fuck.
Yeah.
He then celebrates with his wife. He gets the whole stadium reaction that he wanted. And
I thought it was a genuine reaction. Like the "you deserve it" chant. I think people I know you're not a big Drew fan, but and I think there are a lot of people like you as well, but I think people have seen the work he's put in the last 6 months with this new character, and it did suck. He won in a fucking warehouse, you know? So it seemed like a genuine "you deserve it." He had a bit of a babyface moment where he's looking emotional, and Seth Rollins is giving him props. He's like, yeah, you earned that or whatever. And then we switch it.
And then he gets in the face of CM Punk, who's been on commentary, and he's slithering all around on the table. And he's like, you little bitch, look what I got. You fuck you in your main event. Punk gets a little mad, sweeps the legs, beats the fuck out of him. We get the CM Punk reaction meme in 2024. You know that meme where the music hits and he looks?
Yeah.
They purposely, someone clearly or himself said, let's just recreate that, where the music hits and Punk looks and he's like, oh shit, maybe I just helped out Damian Priest, who comes out, finally cashes in and beats Drew for the title. I thought from front to finish, this was such a fantastic WrestleMania match.
And this energized the crowd. I thought everyone loves a cash in.
Yeah.
Regardless who it is, it's exciting. You're seeing a cash in. I think Priest is someone who just seems like a really nice guy, a professional. We've been following him for years from the Indies to NXT. And I thought it was a really great moment and a great time to cash in. Now, I think obviously it adds to Drew's character even more. On Raw last night, he's saying it's the cheap way to win it and stuff, which for me is indicating that Drew is winning the Money in the Bank and cashing in, because his whole character is he's the hypocrite.
He's the player.
The bloodline screw him over, then the bloodline help him out. It's so I can totally see that being a thing, which I think is great for his character. And this happening to him is what this character needs more than him just being a champion.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, easily this is the smarter thing to do. I know Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest, he's been working his ass off for years and years and years, and he looks like a champion. Already on Monday, or was it today, he was at the Yankees game? Oh, fuck, I'm not good at real sports.
Yankees game was with Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Aaron Judge made him look tiny. I'm like, how tall is that
he's Frankenstein.
Holy shit.
Monster, that guy.
He already looks like a champion. He already looks like a celebrity in that part. I was like, oh yeah, I love this. So good for him. I could be wrong, but WWE champions, world champions at least, he's Puerto Rican. So I can't necessarily think of any modern day champion who's been Puerto Rican. So I'm sure that there's
is he the first since Pedro?
I was gonna say I don't want to go all the way back to Pedro Morales, but he's one of the only big stars that they have.
Off the top of my head, yeah.
Bad Bunny didn't win the title, so good for him as well. I think that's pretty cool. But there is a few matches and pay-per-views coming up in the next little while that it could be him versus Drew at Backlash. It could be Seth versus him in the future. There's a few fresh matchups there.
Well, it looks like they're doing Jey Uso and Priest.
Oh, right, that's right.
Backlash.
Right. So really happy for him, but love the whole product, and the reaction from Drew after losing is just fuck. I had it. Why did sometimes you play or hate too much, and you troll just a little bit too much. You worked yourself into a shoot, brother.
Flew too close to the sun.
Exactly. So really loved that. And then we had the Philadelphia street fight, which I did step out to go get my buddy a Diet Coke. So I did miss half this match.
You're looking at both nights. This was the match with the least interest. It was the least interesting feud. It was the most characters that people are not interested in as well. I think putting the Philly street fight label on it made it okay. This is going to be a bit more fun then. And then you add as much as I don't like Bubba Ray, it was a great use of Bubba Ray, having him as the special guest referee. You get the what's up spot. It's not going to be a memorable match, but I think it kept the spirits of the crowd up. So I think it served its purpose.
I mean, same with Snoop Dogg came out first.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why he's here.
You threw enough bells and whistles on it to keep me happy.
I'm just wait, Snoop Dogg? Hold on, wait, I gotta see what he's doing. Then
he's got a title now as well.
It's that.
Did Muhammad Ali give him that one?
This is the one that they've been doing for a while now, where the celebrities swap it around.
Okay,
so the celebrities take photos with it and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
But that happened. So Karrion Kross lost. The AOP guys lost. What do they call them? The
final testament.
They lost so bad that they decided to show up on NXT. That we'll talk about later.
According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, 10 minutes ago, Drew McIntyre has still not signed a new WWE contract.
Ooh.
I'm sure they'll play into that going into Glasgow.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing that up.
I don't know. That seems a little, hey, that's kind of close to what Punk did in 2011. Why don't we ride that out again? Yeah, that sounds a little too perfect. We had LA Knight versus AJ Styles, another match I didn't necessarily care about, but I thought the crowd were really into LA Knight, obviously, who's still super hot. So many people dressed up like him as well during the 2-night WrestleMania. But AJ with a new theme, heel. It sounds like the same guy rapping.
It makes sense to change it up. I've only heard it the once. I'm going to need to hear it a few more times to get my opinion on it. But, the new character, it makes sense to change it now. I liked how they started this match. I thought it was a great idea, charging down to the ring. And it almost had that Rock Austin feel when you're just going straight to the punches and stuff. I thought that, again, kept the energy of the crowd up. And this, by no means one of my favorite matches of the weekend, but it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
And I enjoyed it more than I thought I was.
Yeah. I'm sure this feud can continue with, stipulations added and all that. But I think the crowd just really wanted the LA Knight, the entrance, because people were bopping to his theme and doing the and all that stuff. So he's easily someone you could still maneuver into one of the bigger stars, because he still feels like one of the bigger stars. Just he was placed on this match that some people just didn't really care about. Logan Paul defeated Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in the triple threat for the U.S. title, which was pretty fun as well. I we've said multiple times, we're not even that old, but early 30s, we don't really know who YouTubers are. And you couldn't tell me who I Show Speed is.
It was so funny because the little mask of the Prime bottle comes off and everyone's going who? And I'm I assume it's KSI. Yeah. And everyone around me was yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, KSI. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I think it was Cino who sent the picture to his son, who's oh, it's this
I Show Speed.
It's
Speedy.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. I didn't know who that guy was. But Logan Paul, he definitely has everything going for him in wrestling. I mean, everything going for him in life, it kind of does seem like. But he genuinely seems like he loves this shit so much. So I wasn't familiar with him really before WWE. I wouldn't necessarily call him to me a celebrity, but since coming into WWE, I think he's taken this ball and really run with it and really come into his own. And I don't think he'll be WWE champion this year because he retained this, but he'll continue to be a main factor in WWE.
Yeah, makes complete sense keeping the title on him. The other two don't need it.
No.
I would see us going with a Randy and Kevin Owens title run with the tags. I think they've already kind of been feuding with Waller and Theory. So I think keep that chemistry going. You can then split them off maybe for a singles match at SummerSlam.
I mean,
I'd say, which isn't really a feud. Randy and Owens, I don't really think we've really had that substantially before.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But my favorite part of this match was Owens on the golf cart, picking up Randy and then zooming down and seeing Randy on the back being like, you slow down, like genuinely looking fearful for a second. Like, whoa, let's chill. And Owens like, all right.
Yeah, I did love that. That was a wholesome moment. Exactly. I thought like, yo, these guys should just be a team.
Yeah.
Like they look genuinely like they're having fun. So this match was pretty fun. Kevin and Randy doing all the crazy spots. Even Logan Paul, though, again, like he's got it.
I think just the pacing of night 2, it just felt like it had this energy going through, even if the matches weren't like all of them, blowaways. I think none of them overstayed their welcome. You had fun entrances. It just
Gatorade chants,
H2O,
chants,
water, Powerade, all of that.
Yeah. Did you try any of the WrestleMania Prime?
I didn't see any of them.
I didn't see any, so I only got to take a swig. But you were right; like they clearly just used the one flavor that they just changed the name.
Same as the Austin?
It was
Matthews
the same as
one?
the Austin Matthews one.
Okay.
So it's like blue.
Yeah.
What flavor is it? WrestleMania Blue.
Blue raspberry.
But I've seen like Cino grabbed a few. He wanted to like resell them on eBay. So best bid for the WrestleMania 40 Prime. They have a Cody one too, which I'm sure tastes like blue.
Grahamsy in the chat said, "You don't know who Speed is? Weird." No, I don't.
I don't know who Speed is. We then went to the Women's Championship. Bayley defeating Io Sky in a pretty awesome match.
This might have been my match of the weekend.
I really like this match.
It was really high up there for me. I thought this was fantastic.
This had a little bit of everything. Like you obviously had the story with Bayley and Io going at it with the past few weeks / months. But Bayley, I didn't know Bayley was Egyptian with her Egyptian entrance with all the boys. I guess they got fired from AEW, so they came over to WrestleMania. Or was it just NXT people like Triple H when he had
Alexa,
the girls,
Sasha,
right?
And Charlotte,
So Bayley got carried out there. Seeing Io Sky at WrestleMania, I knew that this match was coming up, so I quickly told my buddy Shane, I'm like, I'll be right back. I got to go see the rest of you guys. Were in another section nearby, so I came to see you guys just for Io, to hear Io Sky's music in the stadium for WrestleMania. Like, man, without planning things out, I was at the SummerSlam where she won. When I almost went to the washroom, and you're like, yeah, hold on, and then her music hit. That was great. But seeing her at WrestleMania earlier in the night, when I eventually went back to my seat for the match, her parents and Evil were nearby me as well, and they were pretty emotional for her as well. But it was so great. One of my favorite women's championship matches in recent memory for sure.
Bayley I think Bayley's won the title at Mania before, but it's been in like 4 ways and just nothing kind of matches. I think she really deserved this big singles match. It was presented as the semi-main event. It had some awesome moments in this match. The kind of Io front kip up out of the rose plant was just so smooth, looked awesome. And I'd like to blow my own trumpet here, but I'm pretty sure I started the first "Hey Bayley" chant, at least in my section.
There was a lot of them the whole show, the whole match.
So that was fun getting, and there was a moment where Bayley like heard it and like smiled as well, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I thought this was up there with like Sammy and Gunther as one of the matches of the weekend. I thought this was great, and I felt so happy for both of them. Like Io really getting to show what she can do. I think she's had impressive moments on the main roster. She's had great like crowd reactions. Who was it she had the match against in Puerto Rico? Was it Rhea? I can't remember, but like she's had great crowd reactions before, but I don't think we've seen the level of what she's capable of in a big match as we've seen in NXT.
Yeah. I feel like her run, like she won the title from the cash in, and I don't know if that like they made her a heel when clearly like she should be a babyface, because like you said, Backlash, Puerto Rico treated her like a home star. Everywhere she goes gets big reactions. But finally people wanted to see Bayley beat her. But man, I really love this, and I'll say it again, Io Sky gets me high because this was definitely one of the matches of the weekend. I think even a few of our people in our group were like, yo,
that was great.
I didn't even realize this match was happening.
Yeah.
And like this like blew me away. So
Cameron corrected me. It was Bianca.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, but that was awesome. And then the main event, will the story be finished? Well, it was Cody Rhodes defeating Roman Reigns in the Bloodline Rules match for the undisputed WWE title. Cody Rhodes has finished the story, and what a moment that was. I mean, where do you start? So these two hitting each other with kendo sticks.
I mean, you had the big entrances first. Cody bringing back the like epic theme. He's taken Hunter's like WrestleMania entrance, rising up with a silly mask on his head.
Mask, the same guys who made the Bray mask, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brandy came out, which Brandy got a great reaction.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad. Like, I think they used her correctly, like having her leave for the actual match, but like being there for that moment, I thought was pretty cool. But man, Roman's entrance, I've been calling for so long to have a full orchestra WrestleMania entrance. I thought it was something you could do with The Undertaker. Like his theme would have worked perfectly with the whole like full gothic orchestra. But here for Roman, I thought it was awesome. I watched this back last night, and the choir, the orchestra, the strings, just, I know The Rock's nickname is the final boss, but Roman has been Thanos final boss-esque in this title run, and I thought this made his theme seem even more like sinister and epic, and I loved it, and it got me so hyped for this main. And then you add like Samantha Irvin's like incredible introduction to the match as well. I was hyped. It really, I think Roman has slipped recently because he's been overshadowed by The Rock, but I thought the presentation of the beginning of this match, it made it feel like the biggest match of the whole weekend.
It made it feel like one of the biggest matches ever. When they're finally face to face in the ring, like it was goosebumps. The mana, as The Rock said.
And I think people were critical of Cody losing last year. After seeing this, I think it was the right move. I think it built that story up even more. And I think they did a great job of keeping them separate and just having the few teases where they cross paths throughout the year. And I think it was the right move. I think there was stuff they could have booked better between now and then to make Roman's reign a bit more interesting. I thought they did a great job with keeping Cody busy with like the Brock feud and all of that. But once the bell rang for this match, it absolutely felt like the biggest thing and felt like a bigger thing than last year.
Yeah, it just felt like everyone's comparing it to the Avengers Endgame because you also get the run-ins and everything. And quite frankly, it kind of is, because it felt like, oh shit, like we've gone through multiple years with not just Cody, because Cody's been here and then he left and he started the revolution and then all this stuff and he came back, but also Roman, because Roman was the guy everybody hated. And then he was forced down our throats. And then he got, cancer and he left, and then he came back, and then he became like the biggest baddie of all time. And one of the most like popular characters with the bloodline in the past 2 years. And then like they meet again. And last year, like you said, the loss made this whole year like, what if he loses again? The anxiety for some of the people, like these Cody. Well, Cody fans.
You're also people are looking at the dates, and it's like, okay, you might not have Roman. You're not going to have Roman break Bruno's record, but if he held it another year, he'd be breaking Hogan's.
Yeah.
So I think there was that in people's heads as well. It's like, would they do it? Could they do it?
Hogan's at home watching on the beach, being like,
in Hogan's mind, he's broken Bruno's record. But
yeah, exactly. He's happy that Cody beat Roman. But yeah, just it had everything. Like it felt so the biggest. Like again, it felt like the biggest thing going that they've ever done. 40th anniversary WrestleMania.
We were saying going into this match where this match should be overbooked. It should be ridiculous. It needs to be, because it makes sense for the story and to tie everything together. And I thought they had I think they've actually got really good chemistry, Roman and Cody. I think Cody's got some of Roman's best matches out of him in this reign. He seems to do a bit more. And I thought they had a pretty good match. And then going into your your run-ins and everything.
I don't. Yeah, what was more crazy, some of the run-ins or Roman Reigns hitting a perfect plex?
Right.
He's just like, yeah, that's just one of the moves I do. Yeah, fuck it, just doing that. That was pretty cool.
It's like, what was it? Triple H pulling out the Northern Lights, wasn't it? Against Bryan.
Yeah, just showing people you can wrestle.
But yeah, so you have you've got Jimmy and Jay. They're going at it with, again, as I said, better match than they had night one with that dive off the stage. Looked awesome. Solo coming out, which leads to Cena.
I mean, people went again. I'm seated like maybe 10th row on the floor, just on a riser, and like my whole area, people were going. As soon as this match started, the whole floor was full compared to everything else the past 2 days, and security couldn't handle it because people were like jumping the barriers to like be as close as possible. It felt like the closest thing to like a big fight feel, because like every single person in the stadium was losing their minds and trying to be as close as possible. And when Cena's music hit, people went nuts, ape shit.
And that made complete sense with Cena getting revenge on Solo. But then you have Rock and Cena squaring off once again, WrestleMania callbacks and all that. I thought that was great.
I mean, even someone's already put the video together. Have you seen it with the two Mania? The two Mania matches with Cena and Rock before they fight.
Okay,
the way they look at each other, they reenact it when they become face to face, and they do it. It's pretty crazy. Again, it's Avengers because it's just like, oh, he's popping up and he's popping up, and then a little insight. I did discuss it on one of our Road Diaries, but I'm really close, as I mentioned, to the ring during this match. A bunch of security rushed to my section, and they basically tell people, like, you got to clear this area. And as they do that, I notice a bunch of people wearing hoods, bunch of people, 20 different guys wearing black hoods, and they're all coming into the section. And I notice they're smuggling in Seth Rollins, like right beside me. So I go to tell my friend, again, the match is happening. I go to like tell my friend, Shane, look, it's Seth Rollins. But by the time I'm explaining to him, hey, look, it's Seth, I realize it's now the Undertaker. And the Undertaker makes eye contact with me and goes, shh, and then hits my friend Shane on the chest, like, shut the fuck up. Quiet, guys. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then they cover him. And Tom, our friend Tom, is looking over at me, and he's like, this match is incredible. I'm like, Tom, the Undertaker's right behind you. He's like, what? I can't hear you. Watching the match. As soon as the gong hits, that whole thing finishes, Tom's just like, he was behind me, wasn't he? I was like, yeah, you pretty much helped block the Undertaker because he's huge, right? Yeah. So the Undertaker's like, fuck it, I'll just prop up behind this guy before the gong. So it was a pretty Undertaker telling me to shut the fuck up was pretty hilarious, and because then right away, as you know, it's in real time, the gong hits, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, I mean, you had the Seth thing as well, where coming out with the Shield.
Yeah,
I've seen people like rag on Seth because it's like you just lost like 3 times. Yeah. But I think it was more he deliberately like opened himself up to Roman.
Yeah, he's taking the bullet
to cost him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Undertaker, it was cool. The gong always gets a reaction. I wanted Austin. Yeah. Austin would have made more sense for the moment.
Did he not pick up his phone?
He must have just, I don't know.
I feel like he didn't want to do it.
It must have been, whether it's, I don't know, loyalty to Vince. I don't know. It was strange because it would have made complete sense.
It would have made complete sense.
Especially you had Rock take out Cena. Like, that's their history. You then have Austin take out Rock, which makes more sense. But Undertaker's still cool, like huge star.
Yeah.
Got a great reaction, and then leading to the awesome finish as well.
I mean, yeah, Undertaker, he's got to have been boys with Dusty too. Yeah. Right? Undertaker's just the
bloodline are in the BSK, so I don't know about that. Like,
Undertaker's just changing the course of history. If Undertaker decides it's time for a new era, then that's what it's time for. Yeah, I think everyone was expecting Austin, and then the gong hit instead of the glass, which were also like, that's fucking cool too.
I mean, as far as a replacement goes, it's the Undertaker, of course.
Yeah. It was insane. And then the lights come back on and everyone's cleared, and then it's just Roman and Cody in the ring again. It's like, oh, where did everybody go?
On the chair, yeah.
Oh, everybody just disappeared. And then the 3 crossroads, the Super Cody finisher, and the 1, 2, 3. And my God, like, I've been in some manias. I've been at one mania. I've been in some big shows, but that count, the 1, 2, 3, and the roar of the crowd right as he wins was absolutely mental.
Yeah,
it was crazy. I've watched that clip back like 5 times. It is so loud. Like even the people booing Roman were like, nah, that's fucking amazing.
It was perfect.
You know, The Rock was calling everybody Cody crybabies.
Yeah.
I've watched wrestling for a long time. I almost cried.
Yeah.
I didn't cry.
I'd say for me, it's up there with the Daniel Bryan win at 30. Ooh. It's up there with the Kofi win at 36.
All I could think of was like, wow, this got people louder than the Kofi win. Like, this is just crazy. Like, it felt so emotional. And it's crazy that this stupid thing called pro wrestling can make us, you know, feel that way. But I almost cried. I was like, ooh, holding them back here. Someone's cutting onions in the link right now. But I saw people crying. Yeah. Lots of grown men crying, grown women, kids, man. People, Cody, Seth Rollins was crying more than anybody. Yeah. He was beaten up like dead in the water. And I think it was like Cena, someone's picking him up like, you good? And he's like, fuck, he did it, man. It's like, man, it was very emotional.
I cried during the national anthem of that one, but that might have been the edible I had before going in.
Yeah.
So it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Just what a match.
But yeah, this to me is like top 3 manias that I've been to.
Sure.
Like I put it up there with 30 and 31, which I really, really enjoyed. I just thought it was real feel good. I mean, you basically had the baby faces win every match bar the tag, right?
Right.
Was there a heel win at all apart from that?
Logan Paul?
I guess Logan Paul and Waller in theory, but like really apart from your main event on night 1, which was obviously done to set up future stories and to set up night 2. I thought this was what a series finale should be.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it felt like. And then we're off, like going into a new era. Thought Stephanie McMahon starting night 2 was very interesting. And the comments Triple H has made, like there've been rumors about that. Their relationship has been on the rocks and things like that. And I imagine a lot has to do with the stuff going on with Vince. Like we don't know anything concrete, but you just look at the timeline. Like Vince goes, Steph steps up, Vince comes back, Steph leaves the next day. We hadn't seen her since. And now it seems like the message this whole weekend, the amount on the broadcast that they're saying pro wrestling. This is pro wrestling. Little things like No America the Beautiful. Like all these little things are like, yeah, Vince is gone. And Stephanie like saying this is the PLE, the Paul Levesque era and all that. Like I found all that very interesting. And I thought this WrestleMania felt like a big statement being made. And I'm really excited where they go forward. We mentioned about working with other companies and things like that. You're in a position where you've got new champions. You've got a draft coming up soon. We're going to be having some NXT call-ups. We're going to potentially have some big signings for the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and all of that. Like, and some huge international shows. Like, I think WWE's like getting really exciting. And I thought this was a great show, both nights.
I thought as a whole, it was one of the best WrestleManias ever. Like whether it's match quality you're looking at or moments you're looking at, you had like every big entrances, like you had a little bit of everything. And I really enjoyed both nights just because the spectacle of it. I mean, for anyone who has never been to a WrestleMania, like think you watch wrestling, maybe you don't have friends to watch wrestling with. Maybe your friends don't like wrestling. Your family doesn't like wrestling. You watch it alone all the time. You go into a stadium with 73,000 people or whatever. It's a lot. That alone is emotional. Being like, holy shit, other people love this shit. And other people really love this shit. People dress up for this shit. I saw Kane in a washroom, full dressed up Kane with face paint under the mask and everything. I'm like, wow, you love
political views.
Yeah, I was like, you love wrestling even more than I do. It's just there's so much going on and it's just so incredible. But I thought that this one like it just felt so special. And I know people can go off like, oh, the Triple H wank fest and it's the new era, this, and it did feel like that. It felt completely like that from the beginning.
And I'm okay with that. I'd rather A Triple H Wankfest and a Vince Wankfest.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It felt like a fantastic show, and everything coming out of it just makes you want to watch the next night and the next week. And that's what it is, right? Like that's what this form of entertainment is. And before, there were so many things that would piss people off, whether even at a WrestleMania, right? Like last year, we kind of said like Cody losing last year only made for this year, make it even bigger, make it even better. But as a 2-night like total show, like it has to be one of the best. It to me is one of the best WrestleManias.
What's interesting is I went back to work yesterday, and the watch party was huge success over the weekend, and had a few people, had like a regular who's there every day was like, oh, I didn't realize WrestleMania was on, but like bartender let me in because he's there all the time. He was like, I saw WrestleMania 1, and he starts talking about WrestleMania 1 with me, and then he's like, but wow, I haven't watched this for so long, and I was blown away with what kind of spectacle this was. One of the owners were like, wow, I came in, like, you guys do such a great job. The bar was packed. And he was like, I didn't realize, like, you were at that stadium? He was like, how many people? He was like, they said like 72,000. He's like, wow. And I was like, yeah, it was Sunday as well. He's like, what? They did that 2 nights in a row? Like, yeah, they do this a lot now. So yeah, it's definitely seemed to be breaking through to a wider audience again, and their run of sellouts and just the business side of it.
Some of the business stuff coming out of this is absolutely crazy. Like the up 41% from last year, like just completely in views. If they put both nights together, it had over 1 billion views watched live or something like that. Only second to like that one really high watched wild card football game just a few months ago, but even that, like, it was days after. So like, given time, anyone can go on Peacock and rewatch it, right? So like the views have probably even doubled already, if that. And then they're talking about like the social media aspect, the merchandise. I don't know if it was Sean Ross Sapp or Meltzer post, but something to do with Cody's contract that he has, because he's such a bigger star than some of the other people. He doesn't just get the 5% cut of his merch. He gets like a bigger cut because of the deal he made when coming back. And just from this week alone, he's made like an insane amount. Because I don't know, you saw how many fucking Cody shirts.
I mean, I imagine a lot of that, like, he had that logo before. Yeah. Like as soon as he entered the Indies, right? Yeah, that was his logo.
Now it's on his neck.
And now it's on his neck. So
yeah, I mean, just the things coming out of this, like the numbers itself are crazy. And I said I was pretty close on the ground, and I was interested in how the show works and everything. And like, man, they run this shit like the Super Bowl. They have like everything going on. They got people doing this job and making sure every little thing works exactly the way they want it to. So it was a pretty impressive feat from WWE, breaking all sorts of records. Because usually they hit us over the head with, we broke all these records and this and that. But like, nah, this time, man, they really did. So holy shit. What a
go next year.
I think I'm going to take a breather. If anyone's listened to our Road Diaries, most of our friends are like tapped out. I think it was like, well, like wrestling's peaked now. Like, we've done it. He's finished the story. So
say like, that now. Come Rumble time.
It's like, oh, we gotta go to Minnesota. Is this like the first year that they didn't announce next year's Mania?
I think so.
Because usually that's a big
which
part
is interesting. Like, you'd have thought, because Vegas was the front runner for a while, and you'd have thought they'd have announced that at the press conference they did in Vegas. They didn't. It seems to be Minnesota, like Minneapolis is the lead right now. But you would have thought if it was finalized, they'd have done the commercial for it like they normally do.
Yeah, I felt like out of the past few years, they usually tell you where it's going to be, but this time they did not. I mean, maybe because they're like, people were thinking it was cold this time.
Well, Minneapolis is inside.
Okay,
like it's a dome, and it's a beautiful stadium.
Okay,
it's like one of the new ones,
so it could be warm then.
Yeah,
if it's inside. Yeah, I mean that could be cool. Maybe they haven't fully decided. Maybe they do move Mania like a month or two later in the year schedule just because of weather and stuff. Who knows?
I mean, like, you know, next year, like Ivar's eyeing that up and being like, this is my Mania.
Vikings.
That's
right. Yeah. I thought they really knocked it out the park with everything. It felt like the biggest WrestleMania of all time because of just all the different stories and characters. And obviously the stuff behind the scenes with Vince McMahon not being involved. I don't give a fuck what his trainer or whatever the fuck is saying. Fuck him. He's gone. Then it makes wrestling even better. We're in the next generation, the next era. And that's the way it should be, man. You watch a TV show that's been going on for I don't know how many years. The same guy can't run the show for that long. You need to switch up. You need to change things to stay modern and relevant and popular. And that's exactly
and he
what's
wouldn't
happening.
have known when to step down. If
No,
it wasn't for,
no. He'd still be doing this. He'd still
Yeah.
be going and making shit terrible. So already this is the first step in the PLE, Paul Levesque era, the Renaissance era, whatever you want to call it. This so far so good because it felt like a huge moment in the world of pro wrestling and not sports entertainment.
Yes.
So really, really, really great show. And I'll remember it forever because not even just the WrestleMania stuff, but like we said, all the indie stuff, GCW stuff, man, they were killing it. They had all their shows packed, and we had friends going to spring break, and we went to Bloodsport and DDT. Like there was just so much going on, and other indie feds doing stuff, and WrestleCon, and so many things. It was a great thing, and it felt like a whole festival coming together for wrestling. So if we did cross paths in any way, shape, or form, so many people came up to us and said hello, and sometimes I couldn't, have full-on conversations. We did our meetup with John and Wei. We got to meet so many listeners.
Thank you, Drinkers Pub, for just letting us take over. It was great seeing everyone.
It's crazy. We were talking about we're coming from Toronto, when we're meeting people who are like, oh, I'm Philly based, or I'm New York, or this. We had people visiting from Germany, from Latvia, England, like all over the fucking world. And I got to say hello and thank you because it was a great time. People brought me treats and snacks and all sorts of things and smokes. And oh man, it was amazing. So I had one of the best weekends ever. And it was with a lot of people I love, whether it was people like, obviously I live with you, so I'm never sick of your face, but it was great to hang out with Sino, Frank, Brandon, B, everyone. The list goes on and on and on of just everyone and everything that we did this week. So the love is real.
Yes.
I had one of the best weeks of my life, I swear.
Oh, it was fantastic.
And you can tell my voice is still fucking gone. So there you have it.
Shall we get into some NXT?
Oh, I guess so. I mean, we spent an hour and a half, but we'll try our fastest here. I really swear. But
I want to go another 90. Let's go. The
man.
New era of NXT.
Oh, I'm beat up. Is it a new era of NXT?
That's what they said. That's what Vic said.
Stand and deliver season is over.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess we can talk about NXT from April 9th, 2024. It is the hangover edition, the fallout from Stand and Deliver. And we got a recap of just that with Trick beating Mello, Roxanne beating Lyra, and so forth. But we start off with the new NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez, who comes out with the title. She cuts a little bit of a heel promo, hot off her appearance on Monday Night Raw as well. She gets "You Deserve It" chants from the crowd here in NXT, and she says, "I deserve it? Yeah, I did about a year ago. So shut up." Then they tell her to shut the hell up. And she says, "No, I won't." And then she mentions that she will be part of the WWE draft in just a few weeks. And hopefully she'll get the hell out of NXT. And maybe she'll even take the title with her. That's when Lyra Valkyria.
No, she said she'll vacate it.
Oh,
she's like, I'm going to dump it because I'm going to be going for bigger things.
Lyra comes out and says like, wow, you're packing your bags. You're too good for NXT. Well, you won't take that title with you because I'm going to take it from you tonight. I want a rematch. I don't care if I'm injured or anything. Just fight me. And Roxanne's just laughing like, I beat you. Some of the people in the crowd are being mean and saying you tapped out. But I mean, she did, but she's injured. This is when Tatum Paxley interrupts from the crowd here. And she says, don't worry. Like, come on, don't do this. I'll do this for you, Lyra. I'll do this. And Lyra's like, no. I got this. I got this. I'm sure. And Tatum says, are you? And attacks Lyra, throws her shoulder first into the steel steps as she's separated. And then Roxanne's just laughing. So Tatum Paxley turning on her own friend, the one she stalks and is such a big fan of, turns on her when then Natalya Neidhart comes out and says, look, the people want a championship match tonight. And if it's not Lyra and it's not Tatum, it's going to be me. And I'm going to take that title, so it's official for later tonight.
She also, there's nothing like
the boat
worse than hearing someone come out and go, hey, Roxanne, you're rude. It's like, okay. No, I actually thought this was a pretty good opener to the show. You've set up a load of different directions You've got Rox, who's kind of almost doing sort of the CM Punk thing, but in-house, being like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. Like, fuck this place. I'm gonna go on. I think she's actually sounding pretty good in this heel role. Like someone who I think is just a natural babyface. She's been impressing me, and I've enjoyed like the more aggressive side she's shown in her matches. I thought she came across really well on Raw and definitely looks ready for that call up. I like that we've gone for the Lyra and Tatum split. It gives them something to work towards, and you get a title match last night coming out of it. So yeah, I thought they sounded quite good. I still need a bit more from Lyra with the like acting side, I think. But I have been impressed with Roxy.
I really like Roxanne. I would say it was the Raw entrance. She's definitely trying really hard to be different from what she was doing before, but this is her first time as a heel character, and I think it's a bit more fresher than what she was doing before, especially like last year, which she's been mentioning like, oh, I was just floating around. So this is way more interesting. We see Trick Williams shows up hot off his big win from this weekend. We will hear from him later tonight. And we see the Wolf Dogs backstage, and they're prepared for a matchup tonight, but they're not sure what's happening when we see a video from NXT Anonymous with Ava Rain talking to Frazer and Axiom backstage after their loss, when they mentioned like, just give us one more match, please. We just want. I didn't quite understand this. It's two baby faces really sad that they lost, so that they complain to the boss that they.
So that they've had 2 attempts already, haven't they? And they're like, but we were closer this time. We were closer. Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
So they say that they will have a rematch tonight with the Wolf Dogs. And then they have a little bit of an interview here, and they say that they will never slow down, and that if we don't win tonight, we'll go our separate ways, amigo. Yeah,
I think when I saw the graphic earlier in the day come up that this match was happening, it kind of telegraphed what was going to happen, because we know Bron's going to be main roster bound soon, but Corbin's kind of been on loan, so just saving that moment for tonight. But excited to see the match again, because I really enjoyed the first 2 matches these 4 have had.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. You could have just done the title switch on the pay-per-view and given them like a big moment in front of a huge crowd.
They wanted to sell those T-shirts. They only just got the Wolf Dog shirts out. I kind of think that might have been a reason.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had them 2 months ago.
You could have.
But yeah. What are these guys named anyway? Frazer and Axiom? Axiom and Frazer? Frage?
Just the fast
Rangers,
boys.
Fast Speed. Oh, wait, that's another show. We go to the Chase U campus. We see Fallon, Henley, and Kelani Jordan. They're getting honorary Chase U degrees from Andre Chase because of how they helped Thea in the match on Saturday. And JC Jane shows up with Jasmine and says, hey, Andre, why don't you tell Thea Hale the truth on why I bailed out Chase U? And he's like, he looks a little sad. And Thea's like, what do you mean? What is she talking about? She says, yeah, don't you remember that package with Rizzo? Which we brought up, like, that was weird. What's that have to do with anything? Turns out it does have something to do with Andre Chase. When he threw in the towel all those months ago, he had actually placed a bet on Thea Hale to win. Therefore, when he threw in his own towel for you to lose, it's what costed him the university. Yeah. So he bet the whole university on Thea Hale winning, and she did. And Andre Chase is like, look, I only threw in the towel because I didn't want you to get hurt and I wanted you to be okay, but it was my fault. It wasn't your fault. And JC's like, see, Thea, you were the problem because you lost. And she runs out. She's all sad. And Andre Chase is like, no, Thea, no, stop.
Nice little wrinkle to this. Now Thea's going to be blaming herself. But I think it's going to backfire on JC, because it shows that Andre Chase really cares about Thea, and that's why he threw it in. He'd rather sacrifice the university that he's worked so hard to build up these last 2 years.
See, this still could have been the chance to be like, the truth is, it was Duke,
yeah,
and his poker. But now, no one's put that together.
But it's
no one's still even questioned him.
They're just, that didn't exist. That wasn't a.
If if like me and you were friends and you tell me, yeah, I have like past associations with like being a thief, and then all of a sudden all my shit goes missing, I'd probably be like, yo, is there any chance you like, because you're a thief and all, like, did you steal my stuff? They didn't do that. This guy is like a poker player.
But you can have more than one thief.
Yeah, I feel like this is so silly, but in the end, it will just lead to like, well, I loved you, Thea. Like, I wanted you to win, and I don't know. They're gonna go with all that shit, but more Chase U shenanigans continue. Bet on yourself, I guess. I guess it's like what's happening in sports really lately, like with all these players and gambling and putting money on it with your friends and all that stuff. It's kind of similar. So maybe wrestling copies. What is it? Art imitates life.
Mm-hmm.
Kiana James and Izzi Dane taking on Fallon Henley and Kelani Jordan. This is the two of each member of the teams from Saturday, but now just a 2-on-2. Kelani's in there hitting some crazy fast action here. There's then a Rana and then a crossbody to the outside. Booker T mentions that Ava had mentioned the North American title, women's title, coming soon, and maybe one of these four could be the first ever champion. Izzi's in there with Kelani. She gets her in a really long abdominal stretch. Kelani eventually gets out of it. There's a hot tag to Fallon, who comes in with a running last call kick, the face buster, and then a pretty cool like superplex into the standing suplex out the corner. But then it's Fallon who shoves Kelani out of the way to get hit with a running kick and then the 401k and gets pinned by Kiana. So Kiana and Izzi get the win here, but the story is Fallon took the bullet for Kelani.
Yeah, I thought all four looked pretty good here. We haven't seen a great deal of Izzi Dane yet, but I thought she definitely the weakest of the four, but kind of stepped up a bit here. Kiana and Fallon have really stepped into that almost veteran role in NXT, and I think Kiana's been pretty impressive as well. I'm enjoying Kelani's got to be the champ down the line, because I think she's very fun to watch. She hit real nice, like she got popped up into like a Luthez press. I thought nice, a dive to the outside. So yeah, I thought this was decent. The NXT women's division, it's impressive seeing how quickly some of these people develop in ring.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Kiana. A big fan of Izzy's the newer one in this group, I'd say. Still haven't seen a whole lot from her even in this match.
They were protecting her in this, but
yeah, Kelani, Fallon, Kiana, like they got some crop of NXT talent that coming up that could be pretty big deals. We go to a promo for it. We saw this on Saturday as well. Javon Evans, 19 years old, and he says, your boy is bouncy. And the young OG is coming. And then it shows OTM and SCRYPTS watching this, and they're mad. Like, bouncy? We'll show this guy bouncy. So later on, see that match.
And they do the gorilla shot, like walking through the entrance.
I like the new camera shots.
Oh, yeah, so good.
We see a recap of Stand and Deliver, and then we see Charlie Dempsey with the no quarter catch crew with no Gulak in the catch crew.
Yeah, interesting. And also the entrance had no Gulak on the Tron. So yeah, we haven't seen any word of a release or anything. I don't know if he's still doing his like backstage roles. But yeah, this is clearly coming out of what Ronda Rousey has said recently with the drawstring incident.
Yes. A few days ago, Ronda Rousey on a TV show interview mentioned the WWE and people being scummy there, and then decided upon herself to bring up Drew Gulak. And she mentioned there was a moment where he grabbed at her drawstring of her sweatpants. And pretty much the next day when the story kind of broke, Gulak himself went on social media and said that, like, hey, I had an incident where I went to shake her hand and I accidentally touched her drawstring. And that's what he says happened. And it's kind of a gray area because Ronda's been saying a lot of things about WWE, specifically Vince McMahon. She's also been saying, like, this is things that have happened to me. And she put out her new book. She's also saying I get concussed a lot, which doesn't help people kind of believing some of the things she's saying. And then you have Gulak kind of defending himself like that's not kind of what happened. So it is a big she said, he said situation.
It is. And I don't know. The whole thing seems a bit weird to me as well. I think this is probably the right move. Like, hey, let's just pull you off TV for the moment. We're not firing you. Let's maybe
he might be. We don't know.
Look into this a bit more. Or what? But I mean, how do you look into it? It's did he brush the drawstring trying to shake hands? Or I mean, it's happened. Like you think one person's going in for a hug, the other handshake. Like weird things happen. I don't know. Like it's very strange, but it was very notable the lack of Gulak.
Oh, they completely scrubbed him from the entire group that he's in. Like you said, when they make their entrance later, the Titantron has removed his name. Yeah. So this makes me think he's not coming back.
For now, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. If they made someone go and alter like the stuff,
taking a name off, it's not.
I have a feeling that we won't see him again on WWE NXT. At least that's what I gather from this. Like it was pretty like, oh, he's just gone. So they didn't mention him at all. They do mention though Dempsey and Kemp and Bourne. They mentioned that Dempsey was at Bloodsport this past weekend, and he said it was sick. He said they got some of the toughest fighters. There's no ropes, there's no ring ropes, and it's just fighting. And he said he got the win. And tonight there'll be they have a tag team match later tonight, and they say that Stacks, the Dawn, the family, and Stacks comes in and says, shut your mouth. So it starts a bit of a beef between these two, which sets up a match later tonight with Stacks, Crucifino versus No Quarter Catch Crew.
Yes. Yeah. But we don't know the two yet.
Of course, yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool of him referencing Bloodsport. He didn't say GCW. He just said Bloodsport. But for those who know, would be like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I'm sure someone out there who doesn't know what that is would be like, hey, what's he talking about? And maybe you got yourself a new fan there. But pretty cool that they're allowing him to do that kind of stuff. And he was the right guy to have wrestle at Bloodsport.
Absolutely.
He's pretty awesome. We go to our next match, the debut. Is this the debut on NXT TV of Javon Evans taking on SCRYPTS? We got a lot of high flying back and forth in this one. There's some double jump springboard Rana from Evans. Very nice. SCRYPTS comes back, though, with a running star press for a near fall. Javon Evans in his promo said he was very bouncy, and boy, is he, because he's jumping all around. He hits an Os cutter or a Cody cutter for a near fall as well. And then a huge tope taking out SCRYPTS and the OTM lads. And then he gets him back in the ring and hits this twisting tornado splash type thing.
Like a corkscrew, senton kind of thing.
My only beef with it is that SCRYPTS just didn't sell it. He just laid there. So whenever somebody hits a jumping move, like a splash senton, it's all about how the guy reacts taking it, or else it just looks like the guy's just laying there. Because it kind of looked like I don't want to say it looked like shit, because it didn't, because he's hitting like 3 spin out things. But the way SCRYPTS just didn't sell it looked like shit. So SCRYPTS loses. Javon Evans wins. This guy's 19 years old. That is crazy, considering already impressing me with his in-ring ability.
Yeah, he's someone who I've seen clips from like Level Up. People kind of praising him. Very bouncy. They tell the story about how he used to watch WWE with his grandmother, who passed away and unfortunately couldn't be there to watch him. But yeah, I thought in his promo package, he came across very likable and definitely does some impressive stuff. Like he had a beautiful, he hits like a Cody cutter at one point, but this beautiful arch in his back as he's hitting it. And I thought SCRYPTS was kind of the right opponent to showcase all that, because he's similarly does a lot of very flashy moves. But yeah, good debut from Javon.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff of before, and I didn't realize he was 19. Like, that's crazy. Who knows what he could do it even in a few years, in this year. So I'd say he's definitely someone to watch here in NXT. They love to push the really young stars, especially if they're already at a level at such a young age. But so far, so good, and would like to see some more of that. I know he worked a match with Mello, a house show, just a few weeks ago that got a lot of people talking as well. So can't wait to see what else comes from Bouncy. We get a recap of Ridge Holland. Now, I mentioned I did not make it into the Wells Fargo Arena until literally like 11:59, and I found you guys like as it was 12. So I did not see Joe Gacy versus Sean Spears, and I did not see that Ridge came out and hit him with a chair, which, like, it's kind of a mean thing to do, Ridge. And it cuts to Gacy here being interviewed, and he's like, oh, like, don't worry, Ridge. Like, I'm not mad at you. I'm sorry. And Ridge was like being interviewed, but he interrupts him. And he's like,
So Ridge says he blacked out. Like, he doesn't really remember it. He blacked out and just lost it. And he's going, I need to find Joe to apologize him for what I did. And Gacy's there like, nah, you're all good, man. It's all okay.
Yeah, he pops out like the Joker. He's like, oh, you're fine. Don't worry. And then he like, Ridge goes to leave and then bumps into the LWO guys. It's Del Toro and Wild. And they're like, hey, what's the deal with you? Or they say something to him referring to like, oh, Ridge is being Ridge again. And then as they like go to follow him, Ridge slams the door onto, I think, Del Toro's hand. And they're like, oh, Ridge, even when you're not trying to hurt someone, you hurt someone as he walks out.
I like the line from Gacy where he's like, he accepts the apology and he's like, yeah, it must be tough, you know, biggest wrestling weekend and you're just a panelist and not a superstar anymore. And like, I thought they were quite fun lines. Where they seem to be going now with Ridge is like he's this like we've seen it before. He's got this side of him that he can't control, like this almost monster, where he's a super nice guy, and then as he said, Hulk. He blacks out and he doesn't know what's happened. I think that could be a fun way to go with him if we're getting away with him, like actually hurting someone backstage. Makes sense for you being sorry about that rather than hurting within the context of a match. So we'll see. I haven't loved it up till now. But if you go more Incredible Hulk with him, maybe it will work.
I just thought the door slamming on the fingers, like, oh, see, he's hurting people still is like, come on. Like, I think this is one of my least favorite storylines going in recent memory. Oh man, I really can't stand it. Shout out Frank in the chat who says they encountered Ridge at WWE World when they were in line to meet Tiff. Did you guys meet Tiff? Hopefully you got to meet Tiff. No, we didn't. Yeah. It seemed nice. It seemed cool. Everyone who went to WWE World had a nice time. Maybe you're lucky Ridge didn't injure you by accident. But yeah, I don't like this stuff. We go to our next match, NXT Women's title on the line. Natalya challenging Roxanne Perez. These two go at it. Now, we've seen these two wrestle before, and we also have seen these two interact because they love to bring back the history of Roxanne meeting Natalya when Roxanne was really, really young.
Right.
The clip of it and everything. Yep. So early on, it's a slap from Roxanne, which pisses Natty off, and she's in the offensive. We come back from break. It's Natty who's just beating down on her, puts her in an impressive-looking submission, the surfboard. There's a German suplex from Natalya for a near fall, which I was watching this earlier today, and oddly enough, my girlfriend's cat, who could never give a fuck about when I'm watching TV, really got into Natalya versus Perez. And I'm not just making a joke like Natalya and the cats and all that. For some reason, she's got a connection with cats because this cat kept watching, getting involved up in my screen and everything. So Natty, cats do love you. There's then a sharpshooter counter. Now this was clutch. I mean, I've watched Bret Hart do sharpshooters a million times. Why has no one countered it the way Roxanne counters it? She like picks her ankle and turns it
because other people lock it in better than Natalya.
Roxanne really gets in a nice looking crossface here, goes for the pop rocks, that is blocked, and then Natalya locks in the sharpshooter and a good looking one, but eventually Roxanne does get to the ropes, and then in comes Lola Vice, who comes in here and interrupts and kicks Natty, and the ref doesn't see it, which allows Roxanne to connect with the pop rocks for the 1, 2, 3. And Roxanne defends the title, and Lola Vice is like, yeah, screw you, Natalya, and kind of runs off. And Natty's pissed at Lola. But yeah, Perez retains.
Yeah, pretty good. Another good showing from Perez here. Seems like Natalya's sticking around to feud with Lola Vice for a bit. I wonder if Natalya will be involved in this North American tournament at all.
Right.
I assume they're doing a tournament for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be continuing her feud with Lola. But yeah, I thought the match was pretty good. Some good counters as you put out there. And yeah, it's pretty decent.
Yeah. We then go to the Wolf Dogs. They mentioned that they have a match tonight and they have to beat these guys again. And Baron's like, yeah, but, we got a good thing here. Admit it. And Braun's like, nah. Then walks off. And then it comes back in. I'll admit it, but I don't want to give you that justification. So, no. So these two still hate each other, but love each other.
I like how they, Corbin is just doing their, every time he's chatting to him, he's, slapping him on the chest, amping him up. And then when Bron does it back, it's like, hey, I hate it when you slap me, man. Stop that. They've got fun chemistry for sure.
We get a video of Priest hanging out with Aaron Judge. I mentioned Aaron Judge is a lot taller than him, so I don't know how tall these guys are. But holy shit. Lola Vice has a little backstage segment where she's talking and she says, I want that NXT championship, and if it's Roxanne, Natalya, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get in there. And that's when Natalya attacks her, and it causes this whole conundrum, which I imagine we get Lola and Natty down the line.
Yeah.
Clearly setting that up there. But we go to the no quarter catch crew. No Gulak catch crew. Miles Bourne and Damon Kemp are going to be the ones in this match as Dempsey is ringside with his cup. And we see Kemp with some great offense here. He's hitting some types of body slams, a very impressive inverted suplex when you suplex the guy upside down. That looked great. There's a German suplex combo and a clothesline from Miles Bourne for a near fall. But it comes to a halt when eventually Stax and Crucifino shove one of the other guys out of the ring and then hit the Shatter Machine for the 1, 2, 3. And the family pick up the win.
Yeah, interesting hitting that move. I wonder what they're going to call it.
Kind of we've definitely talked about this multiple times, but there's so many moves out there. The fact that couldn't you just switch it? So many people switch up that move. The 310 to Yuma is the same thing, but the flatliner thing. So it's could you not just do any other move?
Come up with someone else.
Any other move. They're a pretty well-known tag team.
Yeah.
It's any other. All right. Anyways, but yeah, the Shitter Machine.
Shitter Machine, Shatter Machine, Big Rig.
What's an Italian version of the Shatter Machine?
The pizza oven. I like all four of these guys. I think we haven't seen a great deal of Luca, but seem to have a quite similar style to these guys. This is very suplex heavy, very wrestling based. Miles Bourne has been impressing me. Kemp, I think is great at that kind of Kurt Angle, Creed style. I got into this. I don't necessarily see how high these guys' ceilings are. When it comes to main roster, I think the family would absolutely work on main roster as a unit, but I don't see any of these guys doing much more than maybe tag, which is fine, which is good. But I am impressed with their actual wrestling.
Yeah, I like all these guys. Bourne has been someone who's impressive. Same with Kemp. Luke, like you said, all four of these guys have impressed us, but they're stuck in this factions that can hold them.
Yeah.
Obviously Bourne hasn't been on TV as much as Stax, but you're basically stuck in this gimmick role where maybe eventually when you break out, you'd be bigger. Dempsey, for me, I think he'll be fine no matter what happens. But
yeah,
there's a few others that are if you're stuck in this gimmick, then you might be stuck in this gimmick forever. Like a Rizzo, right? Is this
Rizzo? I see maybe we haven't actually seen her wrestle a great deal. We've seen her in battle royals and things, but I see a higher ceiling for her. She's very much in the Carmella role, where she's just more promo based with the occasional wrestling, but Carmella ended up doing way, way better than Big Cass and Enzo ever did on the main roster. I see Rizzo maybe having a slot more than some of the guys do, but that's not take away from their wrestling because I think it is all pretty strong, the four of them.
I still liked all four guys, and maybe we'll see more of them and them shining on NXT for sure. We get the recap of Ava and the North American Women's Championship coming soon, so maybe perhaps a tournament of something. But Obafemi, the men's North American champion, he comes out. He's got a microphone. He says, "Some things in life are inevitable. I knew that I would retain my title." But then he praises Dijak and Briggs for bringing him a big fight. He goes, but like I said, I am inevitable and no one will take this title from me. When Ivar's music hits, out comes a Viking, Ivar. He comes out. He goes, yeah, everyone loved that match on Saturday. Hell, I love that match, as the crowd chants, slap that meat. He goes, I was jealous, though, not because you're still champion, because I wanted to fight all of you. Yeah, he comes in here and says, don't really care about that title, but I just wanted to fight you guys. And says, in fact, I think I'm the man who can chop you down. And Oba says, oh, yeah, well, we'll see. And Oba eventually headbutts Ivar, but then Ivar, like, cartwheels out of this and then clotheslines him.
It's like a springboard clothesline.
Yeah, pretty impressive. And then he holds up the North American title. So Ivar v. Oba coming soon.
Yeah, love this direction. Femi, the crowd just love. I thought he was like, he's obviously showing greenness in ring, but also he's showing some really impressive stuff as well that you kind of forgive all that side, and you hope over time and experience that the greenness wipes away a bit. But he's incredibly over. I like how the crowd, it's like similar to the what or the yeet. They do the ooh after everything he says. That will
definitely catch on. Yeah.
And Ivar's just, what a year he's had. We've gone away from the time of, oh, your partner's injured, you're off TV as well. Like he's been doing, and I love War Machine, Viking Raiders as a tag team, but he's done way better not in the tag team, funnily enough, and has been a little bit of a TV MVP for Raw in the last few months, and coming back here to continue this meat title we've got going on right now. The glimpse of physicality we saw between the two here makes me kind of rub my hands and go, oh yeah, this is fun. This is going to be a good direction.
Like, okay, Oba clearly will retain and go on this run, but in a weird, strange way, I kind of wish it was someone else so that Ivar would win. Yeah, like Ivar deserves some sort of flowers for the run he's 100%, been on. Like, legit, like he's been fantastic. I imagine when Raymond Rowe comes back, they do get a big tag team run. Triple H must be a fan of these guys.
He's been out for a long time now. I hope he's all right. Makes me like, when you don't hear updates, you're like, oh, okay.
I do think we'll get the return of them as a tag team and get the proper run. You know, no more basketball. I know they've gone heavier into the Vikings.
They won't be. Like, I think Triple H signed them.
Yeah, he
had his run with them in
NXT. They're bald Vikings.
And now I think you've got like Ivar just being considered as a more serious thing. When you do bring Eric in,
his name's Eric.
I think they'll make it work a lot better.
Could change their names back,
and especially now you have 2 tag titles again.
Right.
There's certainly room for a run, and as I said, potentially Viking Stadium next year. Like it writes itself. Right?
Vikings at Vikings. Yeah, exactly. We get the metaphor. They're talking about their great hosting at Stand and Deliver. And Mensa seems upset, and he's like, I don't know why. Why was Mensa upset here?
Oh, because Noam at Stand and Deliver was like, you go in there, interview Femi.
Oh, right.
And he's like, okay. And he like nominates him. And as he goes to the door swings open and squashes him.
So he's a little upset at that. This is when Dijak comes in, and he seems a little mad. And he goes, hey, what did they say about him? I forget.
So they did a skit for like all the main characters. So they did a skit like as the Tony D and the family. Yeah. They did a skit in black and white as Dijak with the sunglasses.
Barbershop.
Exactly. They did all of that, and Dijak's mad about it.
He goes, so I'm only going to give you a warning before I take matters into my own hands, because everyone gets one, but that's it. So this actually sets up a match for next week.
I felt Dijak here felt more of a person, unless he wasn't wearing the sunglasses and he wasn't talking about justice. And he sounded more just like an intimidating guy. Like, you've had your warning. That's it. I hope they continue that.
Love Dijak.
Me too.
Put him on the main roster.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs to be here anymore. Like, he seemed like he was one of the more over characters at that show on Saturday. So, and just think, only a few years ago, he was
T-Bar.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm liking this. I think that match could be pretty good, actually. Noam Dar and Dijak. We go to our next match here, though. Jaida Parker taking on Brinley Reece. So Jada's in the Out the Mud group, and Brinley's got Idris and Malik. with her ringside. I love Jaida Parker's gear, but Brinley Reece is wearing gear I've not really seen. Her like, I don't know what this is, a hemline or whatever, your waistband. Her gear goes like way more up than most people. It's like,
it's very strappy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of like Sasha.
I feel like the gear maker in NXT has been like stepping it up. At WWE, I mean, we just came off of WrestleMania weekend, but like gear in WWE and NXT has looked a lot nicer. Maybe it's because I've been going to indie shows and stuff, and I'm not hating on you indie guys. I know the struggle, the hustle and all that, but damn, some of these wrestlers get some great looking gear.
I mean, it's development for everyone, isn't it? It's developmental for the announcers, the referees, the like seamstresses.
Yeah. So Brinley is in control here. She's like trying to outrun Jaida Parker. When we come back, though, Parker is beating down on her, hits her with a back slam. Eventually, Reece hits her with a body slam and then goes for this like the buckshot, the front flip clothesline for a near fall, which is very impressive. But it all gets put to an end with Jaida Parker with the hip check.
I guess so, yeah.
Legit just runs at her with her bum and then pins her, as Booker T is like, that was kind of like a drive-by.
Yeah, I don't like the finish. I get it. She's got a
large big
assets.
derriere.
Yeah, exactly. So I get it. But, you know, when Toni Storm does that running hip attack in the corner, it looks like she's breaking your neck.
Yeah.
You know, it looks dirty and vicious and painful. This didn't look it. It looked like, tapping my hip in your face.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
I didn't like the finish. I think Jaida Parker has something. I like how her character feels different to every other woman we've really had in this company. Like, looking across all three rosters, there isn't really anyone like Jaida Parker. You know, that more like, you know, well, OTM, the street talk and that. And I think that's cool. Brinley Reece, however, I see a lot of people like her on the roster. And I think when you're in the same brand as Thea Hale, who I think is incredibly over, I thought she was one of the most over people at Stand and Deliver, who has the same character and has improved the wrestling. I need just something more than positive, bubbly blonde.
Yeah, very hyper, right?
Yeah. I've seen it too much, and it's not making her stand out from the crowd for me.
Yeah, it's weird. I swear Jada's finish was like a clothesline or a forearm the last time, and then we were like, that's kind of weird. And then now she just hits her with her bum. Yeah. So it's like, well, we see a lot of other wrestlers do that. So it kind of came out of nowhere that even the commentators, Booker and Vic, were like, oh, that was the finish. Okay.
Somganda Chonko in the chat.
Sorry?
Apologies to any mispronunciation, but says Alexis Lete, who was a NXT trainee, said the company doesn't help you with your gear.
Oh, so maybe you just gotta get it yourself. I don't know. I see the people from indies then show up in WWE. You look a lot better.
Yeah, but you're earning
a lot
better
more,
money,
hopefully,
aren't you?
Yeah. I didn't quite understand the butt attack, but it did make me think of another butt attack moment that we weren't there this weekend. But did you see the viral clip of Viva Van at the clusterfuck?
No.
Okay, it's got like over 1 million views on Twitter. So you know the Rhea spot that got popular like 2 weeks ago at a house show where she did the stink face, and then like a week later they had the Shayna Baszler spot where Shayna's in the stink face position, being like, okay, hit me with the stink face. Right. So at the clusterfuck, Viva Van, who like should be signed to a company at this point, she's one of the best. I've definitely brought her up before. In the clusterfuck, she goes to do the stink face on a guy. I think his name was Darius in the corner. So every time she looks at him to do the stink face, he's lying there. And then when she turns around and like gets her ass ready to do it, he gets back up and he's like doing it. And then she turns around and then he pretends he's dead again. It kept doing that for quite a while. It went viral. It was very funny. See, like a running ass attack in the corner looks vicious. Just running at someone and hitting them with the bum. I don't try that in a street fight, but yeah, we'll see if they're out the mud of that move soon. But we go to Sol Ruca backstage hanging out with Ariana Grace, and Ariana's still looking for Georgina. Find it funny that she can't find her. I guess she's avoiding her. She says that Ariana says that I am the best kept secret of Mania weekend. And Lola Vice comes in all angry and is like, oh, that Natalya getting in my business. And Soul's like, well, actually, like, you're the one who's got involved in her business. And Lola says, why don't you go back to that beach hole you crawled out of? And then like wanders off.
That makes more sense than what I wrote down.
You thought she said bitch hole?
Yeah. I was like
that bitch hole you crawled out of. And then Soul Ruka replies with, whatever, dude.
Whatever, dude. Soul also saying she has dibs on the North American Championship. So you're kind of with little lines from different women in tonight's show. You kind of had Ariana Grace and Soul Ruka slotting themselves in that tournament. Lola said she's interested in both. So I see her. She's already had like a chance with the women. So I see her maybe going more into this North American tournament as well. But so what, we've got Lola and V Soul Ruka next week.
Yeah, which should be pretty good, actually. Soul Ruka versus Lola next week. But we go to our, I guess, main event, the Tag Team Championship rematch. Axiom and Frazer getting one more shot at the Wolf Dogs. I liked the match at Stand and Deliver, and hell, I like this match as well, but babyface logic, they should not be getting this title shot.
No.
This does not make any sense.
Yeah.
This is legit. Fuck, I guess Bron and him are gone now, so let's just get rid of them. So Axiom and Frazer versus Bron and Baron. There's right off the gate, like Frazer and Axiom hitting so many crazy dives to the outside. When we come back, it's the Wolf Dogs in control. They are just fucking him up, tagging in and out, beating him down. There's then a slingshot into a power slam, which looked pretty nice. However, Frazer comes back in, hits a 450 for a 2 count. There's then a sleeper from Corbin on Frazer, and then a power slam onto Axiom for a 2 count where he's trying to get out of it, but he's in the sleeper. Eventually, Bron gets thrown into Breaker. Sorry, Baron gets thrown into Breaker, which almost causes a bit of like WrestleMania Night 1 Rock Roman situation. But
yeah, it's like, are you okay? Are you just holding up? Yeah.
Which then eventually he hits the deep 6 on Frazer for a near fall. They then hit the Bulldog combo on Frazer, but Axiom breaks it up. There's then the golden ratio on Bron, but somehow he comes back in with the jumping knee. There's then the almost spear again, and then the golden ratio and the 450, the Phoenix Splash, and new tag team champions. Frazer and Axiom get the job done here on their rematch on NXT here. And then after the matches, the video's playing, out come Karrion Kross and then Authors of Pain for a beatdown. The Final Testament are in NXT.
Scarlett and Ellering.
Paul Ellering back in
Welcome
NXT.
back. Welcome back.
Fuck. Okay, yeah.
I loved the match. I thought this was by far the match of the night.
Yeah.
I think all four have really great chemistry, and I'd love to see it revisited on the main roster one day. Like I do think they'll be giving Bron a bit of a singles run. I think he's good. He's going to be a world champ one day. Like I think he's great, but I really enjoyed this tag team of the Wolf Dogs, and they're because they're two big guys, but both, like, obviously we talk about Bron being speedy, but Baron isn't really a lumbering big guy either. He's got some athleticism about him as well. And then you match that with just the insane speed of Axiom and Frazer. I think it all just gels together really, really well. This might have been, I might have preferred this to Stand and Deliver match. I thought both were pretty strong.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I like the Stand and Deliver one just a little bit more, but I still really liked, I think the two smaller, fast guys, like they could probably work a great match with majority of the roster because of just what they do, right? Like they make the other people look bigger and stronger. And then the speed that both these guys, it was interesting going to Stand and Deliver during their entrance because we're used to seeing it on TV.
The
like
shadow entrance. Sort of,
and when they do it in real life, it's just
them running.
Just running around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then you see it back. You're like, oh, cool.
I think AOP is actually a great choice for their next feud. I think these two clearly work against bigger guys, and if you've not got anything for them to do on SmackDown right now, why not send them down? I've always kind of liked AOP as a big man act. I think some of their best matches were against smaller guys in NXT back in the day, against your DIYs, etc. However, my fear is we're going to be getting Karrion Kross versus Ilja Dragunov down the line, and that is what worries me.
Yeah,
because I have zero interest in Karrion Kross on any of the brands. AOP, not my favorite, but I think they could have some. I think they could have a fun match with Axiom and Frazer.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I like the match. I like Axiom and Frazer winning the tag titles. They've definitely been great on NXT for the past few months, so they definitely deserve that. And Bron and Baron can go to the main roster as the Wolf Dogs, as separate entities. Doesn't matter. But
I mean, whether you want to hold them off for the draft, maybe. And that way, if you want Bron to be a singles thing, you can do the split as part of the draft, and then I'll see you down the line kind of thing.
Yeah. Like you could do that. Bron as his own character would easily get over. Like
100%.
We've seen what he can do, and he will be a huge act no matter what happens. So I really can't wait to see what they do with him, whether it's with the Wolf Dogs or whatever. But yeah, going into, okay, so WrestleMania season's over, and they kind of made it clear on Raw having Ava with Adam Pearce and was it Aldous Snow? No, Aldous.
Yeah,
Nick
Aldous.
What did I call him? So the three of them made it clear to me that you're going to see a lot more like people dropping down to NXT, kind of like we said, how we've seen. However, this episode is like, I'm not saying it's the NXT after Mania kind of thing, but you had Natalya, you had Karrion Kross and AOP, and you had Ivar. It's not the most exciting group of people to make you go, oh, I can't wait to see those matches.
No, but they're expendable people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, and I think Ivar, and Obafemi will be really fun.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to let's send Roman Reigns to NXT because he dropped his title. Like that's ridiculous. It's going to be these level of people, but it's not anything new. They've been doing this for the last year, right? Like, that they did say on Raw that Ilja and Roxanne are eligible for the draft as well as the champions.
Yeah, so not just anyone in NXT is eligible because some of you guys are shit. So
yeah,
some of you guys, you have to have at least won a title.
You need to have won a title. You need like at least a year under your belt.
It's not like they're gonna be like, yo,
Brinley Reece,
you're up. You're drafted. So they've kind of made it clear that it also sounds like there will be people being drafted to NXT. So
which is cool. I think that would be a great actual story for someone who may be a heel that gets drafted to NXT who really doesn't want to be there. Whereas it tends to be the sort of call downs to NXT are people like, all right, I need to teach these kids a lesson sort of story. So, or I want to help the future. Right. I think having a disgruntled I've been drafted to NXT would be quite fun.
Yeah. Who do you want to see on NXT? Because I don't want Karrion Kross and AOP. They didn't spend enough time in NXT to get good to be on the main roster.
AOP I'm fine with. Karrion Kross, absolutely not. I don't think he should be in this company, full stop. I think he's trash.
He sucks.
He can do WrestleMania weekend indies, like whatever. He's not good.
It's not even a trying to be funny thing. He genuinely just sucks.
Yeah.
He just sucks. I'm sure he's such a nice guy, but like, man, I cannot stand anything he's got to offer on TV. Same with AOP. I know you're saying you like them. I don't like them either.
As a big tag team, I think they serve their purpose.
Love absolutely. Me some Paul Ellering though. So.
Who else would I send down?
Who needs it?
Who could do with going down?
At Poisonrana Pod, let us know. Who do you want to see?
You've got people like Tegan Knox who are doing nothing, who could probably do with another NXT run and hopefully not get injured.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's all that sort of lower mid card you can shuffle around and no one will really notice. Is Apollo Crews still in the company?
I mean,
where's he been?
I mean, I didn't know. He already tried that.
Yeah,
I had to explain. I had to explain to someone the other day that Apollo Crews was in NXT, and they go, "Oh, that would have been great. Was he champion?" And I went, "No, they gave him a That's So Raven gimmick instead." And my friend didn't respond to me. He's like, "Oh, that's bullshit." And then like 2 hours later, messaged me back like, "Oh, you were telling the truth."
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, wasn't lying. So maybe not him. Yeah, I don't know who I'd like to see, but there's definitely a few people who should be going up as well. So.
Apparently, Bron did a farewell speech after NXT.
There you go. I mean, he could have done it at Stand and Deliver in front of 16,000.
No, he was still the champ.
Yeah, I guess. Just put it down. I don't want this, like Roxanne says. But yeah, so there you go. Bron's done that.
Bron is
done. Probably same with Baron Corbin. So after that match, we went to our last segment.
They announced we've got spring break-in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And Ridge Holland out of retirement against Whacking Wild next week. Noam Dar versus Dijak and Sol Ruka versus Lola Vice.
Sounds great. Trick Williams comes out. Oh, yeah, man. Booker T is hyped for his boy Trick Williams, as is everyone, because he beat Carmelo Hayes in the main event of Stand Deliver. He's got a microphone. He says 16,000 plus people were feeling it. And I'm feeling it. And I did what I say I would do, and I whooped that Trick. He says Carmelo Hayes is him, but I had to show him and the world that I am the man. And he goes, everyone saw Bayley win a title, saw Cody finally finish the story and win his title. And everyone's asking, what's next in line for Trick Williams? Well, I know what's next. I want to be the man. And to be the man, I need to slay that mad dragon. As out comes Ilja Dragunov with the championship, with the microphone, and says, you possess what no one else does, Trick Willie. You got that machismo. You got that swag, that style. And says, you want to face me one more time? You want to challenge me one more time for this championship? Well, my answer is no. See, Trick, you had your chance and you failed. So how about if you want to face me one more time in 2 weeks at Spring Breakin', if you lose, you leave NXT. The crowd definitely turning on Ilja here, sounding a bit heelish.
I found this a little odd.
Yeah.
I thought this was a bit backwards. Ilja switches really quick. He's like, absolutely not. Oh, okay then. But put your NXT career on the line. I think it should be, when it's in this situation where it's two baby faces, it should be Trick being like, no, I can beat you. I'm on the run of my life right now, and there's no distractions. I put that behind me. And you know what? I'm so confident if I can't beat you, I'll leave NXT. I think it should have been him presenting that rather than Ilja.
Yeah, it was a bit backwards being like, I won't face you. All right, I'll face you, but if I beat you, you're gone. I was like, well, you just, all right. So he says, fine. If I can't slay you, then I'll leave. So I'll see you at Spring Breakin'.
Ripping chicken.
Breakin'. This is when Trick is attacked from behind by Carmelo Hayes. He beats up Trick. He beats up Ilja. And Melo grabs the title, holds it up in the air, and says, nah, you're not going to make it to Spring Breakin' because next week I'm going to get you in a steel cage, sucker. So that's how NXT goes off the air, with Melo standing strong. So Melo v. Trick in a steel cage next week.
I think will be a stronger match, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get more violence with it and stuff, which I think this needs. You can go two ways with this. Like, I'm kind of leaning more towards Melo costing Trick the match, and therefore both leaving NXT and continuing this feud on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Or you could do this is where Ilja drops it and he gets drafted up. They've already presented him on Raw. So yeah, I think both ways could work here.
Yeah. To be honest, I wasn't a big fan of this. I guess we'll have to see and let it play out. But okay, so in 2 weeks, Spring Breakin', Trick versus Ilja.
Yeah.
But now also next week is Melo versus Trick one more time in a cage.
Yeah.
They didn't say the winner of that gets the title. They just said it's a steel cage.
Yeah.
So it's a little like, well, we've done all this before. We could have just went back to Trick versus Dragunov and having him finally beat him. But now Melo's been inserted. So I imagine that this is Melo's goodbye to NXT. And
I think so, yeah.
And then what? Trick wins the title and that's Ilja's goodbye to NXT?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Trick being champion opens up way more matches, right? Ilja, his standard delivered feud was Tony D'Angelo. Like, who else is there for him to feud with after this? There's no one really, barring calling someone down or really hot-shotting someone. Yeah. But I like the idea of potentially Trick and Melo feuding on SmackDown and it being like Melo costs Trick his NXT career and then Trick spoiling Melo's like official SmackDown debut or something like that to
gets drafted or
to hotshot it or whatever. But there's both ways you can go. I'm leaning more towards probably Ilja dropping the title and moving up because I really don't see what's left for him.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of challengers for him in NXT. There's no one that's kind of at that level. I don't even think Tony D was at that level, and that was his last challenger. So really, he should go up, and who knows what he does on the main roster? Because I can't wait to see some of the dream matchups with that guy. But yeah, I guess Trick wins the belt. Like that's the only option I can really see, and then maybe him and Melo continue to feud over the belt. I don't know, but
I see Melo as a call up at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the right off the cage match.
Yeah. So maybe, I guess we'll wait to see where the destination of this whole thing is. But I thought it was a little weird. Thought it was a little messy. Maybe not as weird as The Rock and Cody on Raw, but it was still pretty strange that this is like, you could have had Trick. I don't know. There could have been ways around.
I just thought it should have been Trick suggesting his career over Ilja.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing I had an issue with. Other than that, I was okay with it.
So that was NXT from April 9th, 2024. Some steps into the next direction, some final testaments, some Natalya.
I liked it. It did kind of have that sort of Raw after feel on a smaller scale. And we do have some directions moving forward. And I thought that tag match was killer. Yeah,
I thought the tag match was the highlight. I'm definitely a little cooled down on NXT, but I think with the call-ups, all these people who have been ready for about a year now and more should be gone because now it's time for other people to step up. But maybe they're worried that they don't have some of the people ready to step up and fill those shoes quite yet. But I guess we'll see, because I'm trying to think of the next crop. Like, who would you say? Like a year or two ago, we could see Carmelo, Bron, Tony D.
Yeah,
right now.
There's stepping up in NXT.
Yeah, say Dragunov, Melo, and Trick are all gone, or just Melo, Trick.
I think you do have Trick as the face of the company for a bit going forward. It's a shame Wesley's not around right now. Like, I hope he can get healthy soon, but it seemed pretty serious, his injury. But he's someone I would put at the top of the card. There's always, Elevate Dijak. It does seem like aren't those obvious mid-carders to move up, whether you have an Obafemi just push him into that picture, have him drop the North American and go into world title. But there's not as clear a crop as there has been in the past. But
yeah,
it's down to them to push certain people and get them ready for that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not as high on my excitement for NXT lately. Isn't,
I can tell.
Like compare, but it's right because the main roster stuff is so much better right now, and all the people who are killing it in NXT are absolutely killing it on the main roster, and that's kind of how this all should work, right? It shouldn't be, oh, you're really great in NXT and now you kind of suck on the main roster. It should be you get better and better and better and better and better. So,
and that's what I enjoy from the show. I like seeing the people improve, and I like seeing them trying out the different things and what sticks and what doesn't. That's always what interested me in NXT, in the first place. And it did move away from that for quite a while and became a fantastic wrestling product. But it's definitely more on track, in line with the main roster now.
I'd say as much as I'm okay, my interest level and excitement is very, very low and has been for NXT for quite a while, and Stand and Deliver and this show. And then on top of that, it's and we brought in Karrion Kross. It's well, fuck, how am I supposed to really care about the show? But I know that these stars and these
don't watch it then.
No, but it's my job. So I know there's a lot of other people in these, waiting to step up. And I still think that they will. And look, we just saw a 19-year-old Javon Evans on the show, kill it. So no matter what, WWE will always be ready for the next steps. And I'm super excited about having Dragunov and Melo and Roxy all leave NXT because I think they've been ready. And WWE as a whole right now, you see like what they can produce and how they will be producing things with the PLE era or the Paul Levesque era. And so far, so good. So NXT doesn't need to be that hot indie show because, I mean, WWE as a whole right now is that hot show right now. So, yeah, I'm still looking forward to seeing what goes on with everything.
We have a few super chats here. Jake from the Windy City saying Samantha is one of the most valuable assets to WWE. He then adds another one. Thank you very much, Jake, saying, glad you bros had a dope time. If Mania will be in Minnesota, owe it to myself to save and budget for a weekend. Like to see Cody and Gunther later this year also. Yeah, I see Cody Gunther being a direction at some point.
Berlin.
Yeah.
The Bash.
And then Evan sends a super chat. Thank you very much, Evan, saying, hope you guys are doing well. Thoughts on AEW promoting the Backstage All-In video for tonight? What do you think it'll show?
Yes, we're recording this. It's 3:30 right now. In a few hours, the Bucks say they're going to air the clip of All In from Wembley. I mean, I'm assuming it's all just some big troll thing, and we don't see CM Punk in any capacity in this video. But
they've kind of promised we have. Like, a lot of people reporting that Tony's like, no, that's what we're showing.
I'm imagining it has something to do with the fact that FTR and the Bucks are going to have a match at Dynasty in a few weeks, but I don't know. I feel like it might be a bit of a swerve from what everyone's minds are thinking. But at the same time, it's like, is this cheesy and like low bar that they're like having to do that, or is it they're the Bucks? They're trolls. They've been doing this kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't think it's the Bucks' call.
No,
it's Tony Khan's call. It's his company. I really want to see it.
Yeah.
I think it is tacky. And I don't think in the long run it will really help the company at all. Be interested to see if they boost a rating. I think they will.
Still won't.
I don't think it'll be significant, but I think it'll be higher than it has been the last couple of weeks. It feels very Bischoff. I don't really. I think it would have been way better if what you're showing is gonna like make CM Punk look weaker, and it's firing back from that interview and being like, no, this is actually what happened. Leak it to TMZ or something like that. Right. I think rather than. But why would they give them the credit when they could pop a rating? I see it from all sides. It does make me feel like, it is tacky. It is real tacky.
Yeah.
I feel it's going to be just showing Punk really unsuccessfly trying to fuck up Jack Perry.
Look, I really hope it's that.
A weak-ass joke and Jack Perry like slips out and laughs at him.
Yeah. I hope it's that, but something tells me it like is all clips leading to make you think you're going to see that, and then it's like FTR coming to them in the dressing room or something.
Like, I think that would like do a lot of damage.
I think already saying you're going to air this is like, I love troll shit and all this stuff in wrestling, but it's like, well, fuck, like we were asking to see everyone was making jokes and tweeting and saying like, release the CCTV from Wembley, like a week after it happened. This is,
but it's the timing, right? It's okay. We've gone our own ways. And then it's Punk with that interview.
Yeah.
Daryl Hawani, and Khan doesn't like either of them, I guess now we'll see. I mean, this is going to age in like 5 hours. So
exactly. Yes. We'll talk about it. Are we going to go live on Sunday?
I think so.
So we'll talk about it then and give some thoughts on that. We do have some feedback I see here somewhere in the Facebook group. Search Poison Rana on Facebook, hell, in any social media app you use, and follow us. We have a few written in here from Corey, who writes in, so how about Julia to signing to NXT? Wonder if she's going to be the one to dethrone Roxanne at Spring Breakin'. I don't think there's anyone else who could really do it anytime soon. And Roxanne teased vacating the title if she's drafted. And I think she will be, since Bayley will need challengers for the title. And Spring Breaking is timed, so week 1 is a few days before the draft starts, and week 2 is right after it ends. Oh, there's 2 Spring Breakings? No. 2 weeks of draft,
we've got Spring Break-ins in 2 weeks, so I don't think you'll have Julia winning it as soon as that.
No.
Battleground is the next PLE, which is in, I think it's either May or early June.
Okay.
So I see that being more likely. Or is this North American title going to be Julia's title, perhaps? Being the white belt, like hers in Stardom, right?
Right.
Maybe. No, I see they teased Rox and Julia at Stand and Deliver. There was a bit of a stare down between the two. I see it being more likely to be Battleground, or even Battleground could be Julia's first, just like showcase match. And then maybe even Heatwave in Toronto, it could be Julia getting that title.
Right. Yeah. I don't see Julia coming in just yet. Yeah. I don't think right away, but eventually she will be a champion in NXT. No problem. Thank you, Corey. We
also have Magan, who says, oh, it's disappeared. All comments. There we go. He's replying saying she should, but she got to tie up loose ends with Rossi first. And then we have Cameron, who says, great episode to keep the momentum going. Tag title match was brilliant. Bron got his flowers. Can Corbin make new friends? Took him long enough to make one. Sad face. The women's tag was great. All 4 women looked good. Javon Evans looked good. Fantastic. A ready-made star. Love the women's North American introduction. So many potential champs. Fallon or Soul maybe first. Thank you for your content over the weekend, lads. Your content encouraged me to come back to wrestling after years away during the later end of the Vince era. And wrestling is in great shape. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Cameron.
Very nice, Cameron. Thank you. And to everyone listening, everyone in the YouTube chat room today, appreciate all the kind words and everyone hanging out with us. I know we went really long. We will be back on Sunday. Search Poison Rana in YouTube as well. Give us a follow. We'll be live around 2 p.m. on Sunday, chatting all about AEW Dynamite and some fallout. We didn't discuss what happened with Rock and Cody. We'll go into that, I'm sure, and everything else, SmackDown, yada, yada, yada. So tune in for that and check out all the other shows. Like we mentioned, patreon.com/PoisonRana, $5 to get a whole month's access as a friend and gives you access to all the shows. We did a review of Rocky. We did a review of WrestleMania 15, ECW Big Ass Extreme Bash, plus all our 8 road diaries of everything that we went through this past week, whether it was Davie's very scary flight to my drive home with the lads. Everything was covered. And on top of that, you get all the other shows that we've done, movie reviews, wrestling reviews. We're recording a What's Next, looking at the March 20th, 2014 edition of NXT. We're recording that tomorrow. That features Bayley versus Sasha Banks. We look at all the classic NXT. So you get those shows, and we will be putting out our profile on Paul Heyman, but we're going to push that back to about next week.
I still haven't watched his Hall of Fame speech yet, and I would like to watch that before we do that. Also, if you are a family member, a world champion patron, throw us over your Up Yours picks, because we'll be getting through them in the next couple of months. Like the last month, we kind of had to take a bit of a hiatus with all the Mania stuff going on, but we'll be rattling our way through your picks. So get them over to us.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, everyone. Again, to anyone we crossed paths with over Mania weekend, or whether you were there in spirit, we really do appreciate you. So give us a follow, Instagram and Twitter at Poison Rana Pod. And I myself, Braden Herrington, you can find me at the Bray D.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
So that's it. That's all. We'll be back every Tuesday here on the Post feed. We love you. We appreciate you. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And the story continues.
Ahoy!
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.